Thank you. I'm ready. Yes.
Check your mics to make sure you're on. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the Tuesday, December 17th board meeting for the Warren County Board of Supervisors. If you would all please stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Here.
Peter?
Here.
Snell?
Here. Are there any agenda deletions by board members?
I do have a question.
Okay.
Let's see, it is on the new hire for Julie Williams, zoning administrative assistant.
I'm sorry, which item is it?
It is item J. So has there been some reorganization in the zoning department?
Well, with Miranda leaving, we promoted Becky to assistant zoning administrator.
Oh, would you please come forward? Okay. Are you wanting to delete it or else, or pull it from the agenda for actual discussion?
If that would help,
Okay, we'll put that as a separate item here. We'll go through and we'll just go with the consent agenda first, and then we'll pull item J for additional conversation right after we do that, okay?
thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda without item J?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item number J.
Second?
And second?
Roll call.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye. Now we'll go to item 1J. I believe there's some questions. So Lindsay, would you mind coming back up here and helping us? There was a question, so we'll just move through it.
Yeah. Miranda left, was promoted to zoning director of Wapello County, so she accepted that position back in July. And so it left our position of zoning administrator or assistant zoning administrator open.
Okay.
And so after we interviewed 5 or 6 different people, we went with the decision to promote Becky to assistant zoning administrator so that she can work up possibly to that role of zoning administrator in the county, because the county's assistant zoning administrator can do the same thing basically as a zoning administrator, sign
Okay.
documents, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So she was promoted, and then we were needing an assistant to fill her position. So
Okay, all right. How many years of experience does your administrative assistant that you promoted to?
a year and a half.
A year and a half?
Yeah, but we had people who didn't have any experience at all. It was really a hard find to
Okay.
get people to even interview.
Excellent. All
Yeah.
right, thank you so much.
Yep,
All right.
yep. And then Julie's had some administrative assistant. She's been a parole officer down in Florida, but she's got some administrative
Awesome, okay.
background too. So, and she's caught on quick so far in the week that she's been here. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I just find this a little unnerving, I guess, because I am your supervisor over your department, and you didn't come to me first, so I just,
Oh, I guess.
this is quite shocking.
Yeah.
So, all right,
Okay,
thank you.
Thanks.
Do I have a motion to approve item J?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of Julie Williams, zoning administrative assistant.
How about a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye. Item 2, claims. Any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the claims?
I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
I'll second.
Roll call.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye.
Okay.
Go on to item number 3, which is a public hearing on the transfer of real estate property from Warren County, Iowa to the city of Indianola. Dawn, are you going to kind of walk us through this a little bit? I am. Thank you.
Point of order. I believe that we needed to have the total amount of the outstanding claims.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So,
Can we go back and just,
Yeah, just add that to your motion.
you just add
Okay.
that to your motion?
okay, yep, and it will be $1,566,185.24.
Okay, and,
Second that.
okay. Roll call again, please.
McIntyre.
Aye,
Heater.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye.
thank you.
Okay, sorry about that.
Good morning. I'm here today to speak about the resolution making final determination of transfer of interest in real property to the city of Indianola, Iowa. I'd like to recognize that Ben Reeves, city manager, and Wade Wagoner, deputy city manager from the city of Indianola, are here. I also want to call out Amy Beatty, who is the attorney for the city. She has been wonderful to work with and has helped a great deal. The county entered into an agreement with the city to exchange property, and the county's properties include the Masonic Temple and the parking lot around the Masonic Temple, the West Annex, and the county yard that's in town. Those properties are going to be exchanged with the city for the library, plus the parking lot and the green space around the library. And Ben, anytime you want to jump in with something, please feel free. I would ask that the other thing we had to resolve was a first offer to buy that was held by Simpson College. The college president and the financial officer both toured, with 2 other people, toured the Masonic Temple and signed a declination of first offer to buy regarding the property at 310 Buxton Street, Indianola, Iowa. So we have that, and that has been recorded. At this point, if we could go into public hearing, I would be happy to read the resolution. The legal description for the county yard is exceedingly long. I would prefer not to read that, just because it's very long. If anybody wants to see it, it's been published, and I have a copy with me, and there it is as well.
Okay.
The legal descriptions for the Masonic Temple and the parking lot are included in this resolution, as is the lot for the annex.
Okay. I'll get the ball rolling here. I would move that we go into public hearing on the transfer of real property from Warren County, Iowa to the city of Indianola. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
McIntyre.
Aye,
Heater.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. Now we're in public hearing.
If anybody has any questions, this would be the time to ask. We have to have a public hearing for this simply because that's what's required by law.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to come and speak? Ben?
I just want to thank Dawn for the incredible work that she has done. There's been a ton of work trying to get these abstracts pulled together and work with Simpson College, and just been a delight to work with, and just so good. And so this is just an exciting opportunity and time for the City of Indianola and for Warren County. We see the mutual benefit from this collaborative effort to help out Warren County with new office space in the future, to see the redevelopment of the industrial areas behind the grain elevators that will really be to our mutual benefit. Those redeveloped areas are going to create jobs, create sales taxes, property taxes, which will benefit both the county and the city and relieve the burden on our residents countywide. And so these are exciting times, and it's great to see the future of Warren County bloom and development. And just on a personal note, it's been nothing but a pleasure working with all of you in the time that I've had to serve here in this capacity, and it's going to be really hard to leave. But my heart and soul is here, and I've really fallen in love with this area, and I just want to thank all of you for your service.
Thank you for your work on this, by the way.
thank you, Ben.
Anybody else that would like to speak on this matter? Seeing and hearing none, I would move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Roll call.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. Public hearing's over. I think we're time for the vote.
I would also add that Ben's been super to work with and all the people in his department. They've been really responsive to any of our questions. And as he said, the legal descriptions and the abstracts, trying to get that all resolved for both the city and the county has been fascinating. It's just been a lot. So it's been fun to do, but I'm really glad it's done. We have a resolution. I'm happy to read the resolution, except for the legal descriptions. I'd be happy to read the legal descriptions, but I don't think you all want to hear them.
I think for the sake of this and the time, why don't you hit the highlights and forget the legal descriptions? We'll all refer to those as they appear up here on the screen in our packet. But if you just read the resolution
Yes.
And the highlights, please.
Whereas Warren County, Iowa, a political subdivision of the state of Iowa, owns certain real property which is located in Indianola, Iowa, and which is legally described as follows as it appears on the screen and in the document. Whereas Warren County entered into a development agreement with the city of Indianola, Iowa, dated May 20th, 2024, regarding the transfer of this above stated real property, and whereas in compliance with Iowa Code 331.361, the Warren County Board of Supervisors has set forth its proposal to dispose of interest in the property by publication of notice of a public hearing on the agreement, and whereas pursuant to said notice published as required by law, this Board of Supervisors has held a public meeting and hearing upon the proposal to transfer the property, and accordingly, the following action is now considered, excuse me, to be in the best interest of Warren County and the residents thereof. Now therefore be it resolved by the Warren County Board of Supervisors that the Board of Supervisors finds that the transfer of the property to the city of Indianola, Iowa is in the best interest of Warren County. The transfer of property to the city of Indianola, Iowa is hereby approved. The chairman of the Board of Supervisors and the county auditor be, and they are hereby authorized, empowered, and directed to execute, attest, seal, and deliver the warranty deed and other transfer documents for and on behalf of Warren County, Iowa, and that the chairman of the Board of Supervisors and the county auditor are hereby authorized, empowered, directed to do all such acts and things and to execute all documents as may be necessary to carry out and comply with this resolution.
Thank you very much. Is there any comment from board members? No comment. I'd like to just say thank you, because I think not only you, Dawn, but the city of Indianola, it was very innovative ideas that came forth, and this has been a long time in the works. I know it wasn't easy to get through all the paperwork that needed to be done to properly file these things, and I just want to say publicly thank you very much for all of you that participated in that, and thank you for your efforts. It's a great day. And with that, I am going to move the resolution as presented.
May I please make a comment as
Of
well?
course.
Sorry, I said no comment, but then as you were talking, I thought about something. This deal came together out of a committee meeting in Warren County, the facilities committee, as they were trying to examine what our facilities should look like the next 20 years. We did a lot of brainstorming. We did a lot of focus on what that should be. And the question in the meeting was, do you think the city of Indianola would be interested in selling the library? And that's how all this got started. And you know, when you got a city manager like Ben Reeves that you can just pick up the phone and ask those kinds of questions, it's pretty powerful. And so that led to, well, maybe we should trade properties. You know, maybe we have a property they want, they have a property we want. It ended up we had mutual properties that each party wanted. And it just came out of a focused committee meeting and one question to a trusted city manager. Pretty good stuff. So that's my comment.
No, I just think that the public has had since July to make any comments, and I haven't heard one. So we're going to go forward with this.
Good. I'll restate my motion then.
And I would like to say one more thing. That was Doug Eichholz's idea. Our county attorney, not anybody in buildings or anything, but that was just a good, strong leader in our organization that came up with that one idea that turned into such a nice project. And so ideas can come from anywhere at any time. And this sets the plan for the city of Indianola and Warren County for the next 20 years around facilities. We don't have to worry about it. both entities are ready to grow into the needs that they have. It's a beautiful thing.
Yep,
So that's enough said on that. All right.
thank you.
So I did have some comments, I guess.
You did. I'll restate my motion to approve the resolution as recited and also prepared and shared here with all the descriptions. Do I have a second?
Second.
A roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. Thank you, everybody. Move on to the next item. Item number 4, which is a public hearing for the final plat review of Marywood East as submitted by Marywood Farms. I'm going to make a motion that we go into public hearing on
Second.
the final plat review of Marywood East as submitted. Do I have a second?
Right, sorry, second.
Okay, roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. We are in public hearing. Lindsay.
Okay. So Matt McGinnis is the applicant for Marywood East Plat 1. This is the east side of Marywood, off of 168th. This is off of Low Street and S23 Highway. And when Ted rezoned back in the late 90s, early 2000, he rezoned the entire portion. So he rezoned the west side and the east side. However, he only platted the west side at that time, so that left the east side open to platting. And with that, there was a change in the zoning ordinance that said that pavement was required to the nearest paved road for a subdivision. And Matt McGinnis made the application to go in front of the Board of Adjustment to waive that right to pave, and the Board of Adjustment granted the variance to that. So that brought him to this meeting with the Zoning Commission and the Board of Supervisors with a final plat in place. And when we had all the neighbors there at the Board of Adjustment meeting, it was kind of decided at that time he probably was going to proceed either way, but he didn't really want to have 50, 60 homes back there. And the neighbors were kind of more in favor of the no paving for 5 to 6 lots versus paving and multiple lots. So that's how we got to this point. We did go through the final plat checklist, and one of the key things was the final construction drawings should be approved prior to final plat, and those were submitted to Tim, and he responded by email that they made those requested changes that he had, and he had nothing more to add for that. So the final plat list checklist, they've submitted their covenants. They're in the process of getting our paperwork that we require when we go to record, which is the consent to plat. They've paid the filing fee, so we are kind of set to move forward on this final plat for Marywood Lakes,
Thank you.
or Marywood East Plat 1.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak to this?
And I will tell you that the zoning commission voted 3 to 2 to vote to recommend approval of the final plat for Marywood back in October.
Okay. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak to this? Just for the record, why don't you state your name?
Matt McGinnis, 12024 Highway S23. I want to thank you for being here today. It's been a long process. As Lindsay was saying, we evaluated the ground to see what we want to do. The west side has been developed. The east side, Wendy and I talked about different ways of going. The bigger lots, there's 130 plus acres, give or take. And to pave it, we would have to put 27 to 32 lots in there. And that's not what we want to do for that area. We want to make them bigger lots, obviously not pave it. So that's why we went through the process of going through the Board of Adjustments and then the 2 meetings for the zoning. So they're big lots. Biggest is 40, the lowest is 11 acres of the 130 acres. We had civil design the road with works with the Warren County engineer. The top of the road is wide. We have a turnaround for emergencies. That was one of their number one concerns as far as safety. It'll be a nice road, and we have turnaround for safety, being fire truck or an ambulance, whatever we need. Currently, Low Street doesn't have that. It's a dead end. But when this new road, and if we get this approved, we'll have a road there that will have enough top and turnaround for any emergencies. That's one of the major things that they talked about. And so civil engineer, they engineered it to suffice all those things, and I think we've met those requirements. So, again, thanks a lot. It's been a long process to get here, and thank you for your time.
Who will be taking care of the maintenance of that road?
So I will be taking care of them until all lots are sold, and at that time, we'll have a meeting. We are not joining the homeowners on the other side. We're going to have our own
Okay.
individual
Right.
association. It'd be six people. One of the other things that came up in the zoning when they were talking about these, they were saying, well, someone's going to buy a 40-acre lot, then they're going to subdivide. And that was a big concern. And so we are going to have that in the verbiage of, you cannot put on another house. You cannot divide this. You can't have your daughter, your son, your son-in-law, best friend build on your 40 acres. It's your house, that's it. So that was a number one concern. After every meeting, they came up to me and says, well, you better only have, 6 lots there, or 6 houses. And so that's something we're going to enforce, in the writing of purchase. If you want to purchase, this is part of it. If you don't like that, then I'm not going to sell it to them, because that's part what I told them. I was going to make sure that no one's going to slide in and put 2 houses on it. And have more traffic. That was the number one issue. We pave it. The people on Low Street, which was, I would say, in the range of 80% of the people that were there, were saying, well, yeah, the paving is great, but our taxes are going to go up, probably. I don't know for a fact. And they're like, well, we would rather have 6 than 27 to 32 lots for that area. So they are bigger lots, and that's why we went that way.
Right. Well, normally, we require pavement to the nearest paved road, which I think in this scenario, it's about a half a mile?
0.5, yep.
2.5, yep. So as of right now, there's 7 platted. You talk about 6, but I see 7 on
7,
here.
I'm sorry. Well,
Okay.
well, so there was already approved there. We're adding the different numbers. So that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, all right.
The additionals.
All right, so with the 7, most houses normally have 2 cars at least. If you have teenagers, you might have a little bit more. So that's 14 cars already. And then you throw in trash, you throw in Amazon and FedEx. That road is going to be heavily traveled every day. You talk about moms taking their kids to school, driving back. That's a lot of traffic. You don't think that's going to be an increase for our maintenance of that road? Maybe not inside your subdivision, but definitely outside.
There should be an increase in that road with the increase of the taxes that's going to produce for the county. That's what it's all about, right? It's about, moving more people into the county and producing more tax revenue base, and that's going to help for that, yes.
Yeah.
I would be dumb to sit there and say, well, it's not going to be more. Yeah, it's a dead-end road, and there's going to be additional. Yeah, absolutely. But there's additional income on that, too.
Well, we do get 20% of people's taxes comes to the county, and then the county engineer gets 20% of that 20%.
So
That's not a lot.
Pave it and put 20 lots on there, or 27? There's
Well,
one or the other. That was their options, and we didn't want to do that.
I just know of all of the complaints that I get from the First Marywood farms.
This is different. We don't have that many, we don't have those numbers. It's totally different. Plus, am I right?
Oh, well, you're right,
Okay.
but I don't know the caliber of people who are going to buy there. Most of the time, people want to come out to the country and live in a subdivision that they're familiar with. But they're familiar with sidewalks, and they're familiar with paved roads. And then they all of a sudden live on a gravel road, and when it rains, it gets muddy, and it gets in their garage. And I've had someone stand right where you are complaining of their children having mud on the bottom of their shoes when they come in the house. I'm sorry, we live in the
I can't
country.
control any of that. I can't control any
I
of
understand
those.
that, but I'm telling you that this subdivision is creating problems for Warren County down the road for our engineering department because of the extra traffic you're going to put on Lowe's Street. And skirting around our ordinance of paving to the nearest paved road is not doing the county any service, it's doing you as a developer. You're saving a lot of money, aren't you? So, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I would have to recover that through the sale of way more cars.
Yeah, but
and
as
more
of right
lots.
now, we're going to have the increase on our taxpayers all throughout the county because of the increase on this road. So if you hadn't skirted around our ordinance,
I didn't skirt around anything. They gave me the options, and that's what I went through the process of. I didn't skirt anything.
it seems like to me, because we have an ordinance that says if you have more than 4 houses on 40, you need, that's called a subdivision.
Yep.
And you're supposed to pave to the nearest paved road.
And so then I went to the Board of Adjustments. That was what was told to me I had to do. So I went to the Board of Adjustments, and the Board of Adjustments, with discussions with the people that live at Low Street that's going to live through this, they voted 3-2.
Right, and what were the
Didn't skirt around
objections?
anything. I went through the
What
process.
were the objections, sir? What were the objections of the other 2 board members?
They never said.
They didn't
Everybody
state
votes,
it
but they
in the
didn't say why they voted no,
Okay,
which I think they should, so that way I do know.
exactly, me
No,
too.
they did not say.
Okay,
Zoning, we're getting two boards confused.
Yeah.
The Board of Adjustment.
Board of Adjustments.
The Board of Adjustment hears variances or special uses to the ordinance. So he did not want to have to pave. So that's a variance to one of the rules. So he has
Okay.
to go to the Board of Adjustment. The zoning commission voted 3-2 to recommend approval.
okay.
The Board of Adjustment voted to approve the variance.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what she's talking about, the
Wa-
variance.
Was that unanimous in the Board of Adjustment?
3-2.
No,
Also.
that was your zoning commission. Let's get your, let me get that paperwork. Okay, so the Board of Adjustment motion by Gook to approve the variance subject to only 5 lots, including parcel J, so the 6. So there were
Lots.
3 to approve the variance. There was 3 nays and 2 ayes to that. So 3 voted to approve it, or no,
Yeah, 3-2.
yeah, it was 3-2.
It was 3-2.
That's the wrong thing here, sorry. Yes, 2, sorry. 2, and that was Christine Walker and Dan Smith voted against that. And Roger, Marilyn, and Jacob voted for it.
And that was from the Board of
So
Adjustment.
that was the Board of Adjustment.
Okay.
Then, Crystal, to answer your questions, the, regarding how the, just had them, how the zoning commission voted. And they voted 5-2. November 18th. Nope, that was in October. What did I do with it? Did you pick it up? No? Okay, it's 3-2, but they, oh, it's right here. Okay. But Kane did state that his concern is the same as the last hearing 1 month ago, and that was that our regulations require the road to be paved to the nearest paved road, and there is still no provision to do that. So he doesn't feel this is in the public interest to approve. And Westrom states the Board of Adjustment gave the applicant a waiver, and Kane says the Board of Adjustment did, what the Board of Adjustment did is not in his purview to consider. So he was one of the nays, Hugh Kane was, and Laura Oliver was the other one, and Laura didn't comment on why she
Okay.
voted.
All right.
So So that's kind of how we got to, let me put this in here before I,
Thank you for reading that for the recorded record.
yeah?
So there, just to clarify, the Board of Adjustment did vote for
Yes.
the variance as applied by the applicant. And then the board, the zoning commission board, they voted favorably also, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And your recommendation for Warren County zoning is in favor or not in favor?
Well, we don't do recommendations on the zoning, like the final plats. I mean, we don't actually give like a formal facts of finding, but as long as it meets the requirements, yes, our recommendation would be to approve the final plat, of course, with, the concerns addressed.
And based upon the process that was followed, I can see why you would take that position.
It's the very first time that this has ever come about, and I was shocked they approved the variance.
I am too.
Was.
And
Not
I'm
gonna
very
lie.
dismayed because the Board of Adjustment doesn't have to deal with the complaints. So
Yeah.
I love developing that land. I think it was, I know it was your dad, but I don't know if you were in the car too, but I remember going out and driving that piece of property, and he was showing us, because I love Mary Will Farms. We considered purchasing out there, but because it wasn't paved, we decided not to. We live on gravel, but we knew that going into it, but it's not a subdivision. But I do love this piece of land, and I think it's going to be really beautiful. But it's the amount of traffic and the complaints that we're going to get that really concern me. So that, I just really pause when it comes to that, because with you not paving that, the responsibility, if we end up paving it, will be that of all of the taxpayers in Warren County. And I don't think, as a developer, that's fair.
Okay, is there any other comment? Not seeing or hearing any, I'm going to move that we close the public hearing on the final plat review for Marywood East. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. Now we are on discussion whether or not to approve the final plat as presented and submitted by Marywood Farms. Any comment?
Well, I would just urge the board to not consider this. The Board of Adjustment has blatantly disregarded our ordinances to pave to the nearest paved road. And it is such a concern when you deal with other subdivisions throughout Warren County. I'm going to name Briggs, Marywood West. It creates such a havoc when you have people who live in these subdivisions who have no understanding of what it's like to live in a rural area, but then you don't provide the pavement that they're used to. And then it creates such a havoc for our engineering secondary roads department. Not only the attention that is needed to that, but then the final pavement that is probably going to need to be there. And that is, right now, I think it's at $2 million a mile to pave. Is that right, engineer? Somewhere in that ballpark? And this is half a mile, so that's $1 million.
Okay.
I can understand why he didn't want to pave it.
Okay. Lindsay, do you have something else you're going to add?
Don't just remember it's second and third, so if you deny or approve, you have the option of second and third readings,
Okay.
or, I just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you.
Got that. Thank you for that reminder.
Based on the work that's been done by the analysis of the Board of Adjustment and the Zoning Commission, and the work that Warren County Zoning has done on this, ever since that we've had this mandate of having a concrete road come in before we do a subdivision, we've never had a concrete road come in to build a subdivision. We've had that rule in place for the 4 years that I've been here. And what I see is that in one instance, we had a situation where someone came in for a waiver because they had an instance where they could build 28 homes, or a lot of homes, high dense homes in a small area. And we refused that waiver. We said, nope, we're not going to waive the requirement for concrete. And that did not help us in that situation. What that did is that created more dents and more lots that came in. And we haven't had any subdivision development anywhere that there has not been an existing county road, a concrete road
Already there?
already there, an original concrete road. So
I think there was one with Van Dam. I mean, it was before your time, but yes. We have some really great contractors that are very diligent about paving to the nearest road when they develop.
I'm in favor of this, and that's my comment.
Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, thank
Okay.
you.
I'm going to make a motion then that we approve the final plat review of Marywood East as submitted and waive the second and third readings. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
McIntyre,
Nay.
Peter,
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. On to item number 5. Public hearing for rezoning application as submitted by Paul Horton. And I would make a motion that we go into public hearing for rezoning application as submitted by Paul Horton. Do I have a second?
Second?
Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. So we are now in public hearing on the rezoning application as submitted by Paul Horton.
Okay. So Randy and Jody Eubank own 29 acres across the street from their residence on Highway 6569. And it butts up to the subdivision that backs up to Nash Airfield, currently known as at Nash Airfield, off of Nevada. And Randy had Paul approach him. They would like to purchase a couple lots for Paul's children to build a house on. And they had talked about the 10 acres, the 10-acre lots. Randy would really ideally like to keep the majority for farming and do the 5 acres. So with it being on pavement and backing up to the RR1, they decided to go ahead and go about the rezoning process to rezone for 2 5-acre parcels. One would come off of, it's 128th, I think, there. It's in the Homaport, it's backs up to the Homaport subdivision. And so one would come off of, do you have maps? There. But one would come off of Highway 6569 and one would have access off of, Okay, so this parcel E would come in over here off of 128th, and that entrance was approved by the engineer's office, and then the other would be further to the south, and that would be parcel D, and that would, so it's a little bit further down on here. And that would come off of 6569, and that access would be granted through the state. And Randy has been told he cannot make that application and get approval because he already has an access, but somebody else can, if he sells that, somebody else can make an application for the access from the state. So that's kind of where we're at. However, we've ran into some issues. This does back up to, like I said, Nash Airfield, and so they do have a landing strip in there. And so there was some discussion with the airfield and granting a possible easement to them, and that was the zoning commission. So during this discussion, the zoning commission made the motion by Kane to recommend to the Board of Supervisors approval for the zoning change to be granted, subject to the builder/owner and the airport entering into an agreement with a trapezoidal area where no building can occur. So what happens is you come off that runway and then it goes into like a trapezoid where they couldn't build in that. It's a runway protection zone.
Okay.
So that's what he's talking about. And then that was seconded by Westrom. He did want Don and I to supervise that agreement. However, that's not an agreement because it's not an agreement with the county and county property that we can actually write, but we can review that for them. But yesterday, they still were not quite in 100% agreement on that, as far as I know. So I don't know if that's changed overnight or yet this morning, but I did get a message from Adam Van Dyke yesterday, and that is Randy Eubank's attorney, and it appears that my client, Randy Eubank, and Nash Airfield are in disagreement at the size of the easement area. And my client's position is that the easement's limited to the area depicted on the attached plat for parcel E, and Nash is wanting the easement to extend onto parcel C, which my client will not agree to, and I'm not sure how this will affect the Board of Supervisor meeting tomorrow, but I wanted to let you know. And what it boils down to is, you know, they're trying to draw that trapezoid in there, and it goes on to parcel C, so they were just trying to describe parcel C, and I think Randy would not be able to build in that, and shouldn't anyway because it's in the runway protection zone. But I, from what I take from this email, he does not want that included in the agreement. But Paul Horton was the applicant, and Randy and Jody are the owners of the property in question because Paul does want to purchase the property from the Eubanks. So that's why there's Paul is the applicant and Randy and Jody are the owners still. So,
Okay.
Is there anybody else that wishes to speak on this? Please state your name for the record.
Paul Nickel, President, Nashfield, and we're 12562 Nevada Street. Basically, Lindsay laid it out properly. And we do have an agreement, but we haven't got, or the basis of the division, I guess, is the legal description of the parcel. So aside of that, we're pretty close.
So are you saying that the only thing that's really holding up is the technical matter of the agreement on the legal description?
Yeah.
It's not that you're in disagreement with the property doing what they're requesting or anything like that?
Correct. Where the problem lied yesterday was, so as pictured, the runway protection zone, we had our attorney lay out the entire protection zone as, per the state guidelines, which are federal guidelines, and Randy had contention with that it should only be the parcel that's being sold. And that's where the problem lied yesterday, but we've since ratified that to just the parcel that is being rezoned. I think it's parcel E.
yes, that north one.
So basically, it's just the legal description of, if you could go back to the slide of, essentially it's just east, right here, parcel E. You don't have a description, just the description of the entire parcel. That's basically the only thing that we've got left.
So you're not in disagreement with the rezoning request?
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah, our basic gist is, that land was originally owned by the guy that founded the airport. So there
Right.
was never any issue of someone building, buildings, trees, towers, things of this nature. And now that it's changed, our stance with the airport is just to make sure that nothing gets built back there that's going to obstruct our runway.
So can we just clarify something?
Yeah.
So to clarify,
I'm going to stop here. This is the third time we've had phone interruptions. Please turn off your phones. This is very disheartening to see that. That's the third interruption today we've had in this meeting in just the last 45 minutes. So check your phones and please put them on silent or vibrate. Sorry.
So you want just to clarify for everyone, just the legal description that would come down here and describe this portion of parcel E, we'd have to have Chad just define that portion. Is
Right.
That's the agreement you guys have all.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, there was some miscommunication because we had originally thought that it was, that it was agreed upon the whole zone as depicted by state of Iowa, which is, of course, come from federal guidelines. But apparently there was a miscommunication, and so this is the piece that we're in question on.
And so it really isn't affecting the other property, the actual subject property that's wanting to be rezoned then, is it?
I didn't understand. Say again?
I said it's not really impacting the subject property that's wanting to be rezoned then, is it? Or is
Yes.
or is that the one? Okay, got
Yeah,
it. Okay.
yeah. We cut directly through the end, to clarify, the end of our runway, or the end of our property is right here. So take off from landings, the departures.
Oh, I see, it runs, oh,
Right here.
seen it the other way. Oh, my goodness.
And where Paul wants to build is more up in here. So it is out of that area.
So it is out of the area. Oh, okay. I think that was the clarification that needed to be
Yeah.
made. Yeah, okay.
Essentially, our stance is that, good fences make good neighbors. And we just want it clear that our stance is we don't want anything built that's going to obstruct our runway. And it's pretty simple. And so we're doing that via an easement, which, like I said, we've got drawn up. I think the only thing holding back is the actual legal description of that chunk of parcel E. So whether or not you want to approve it with a condition, I don't know. I guess I don't know how that works. But we were actually working on this clear up to about 7 o'clock last night.
Okay, thank you. Do
Yep.
you have anything else you want to add?
No.
No, okay. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to this matter? Please state your name for the record.
Adam Van Dyke, Brown Winnick Law Firm, 666 Grand Avenue, Des Moines, Iowa. And I represent the current property owner, Randy and Jody Eubank. And from what he just said, I don't think we're in disagreement. I think yesterday, so I prepared an easement for the area. And it was going to be limited to just the area that he pointed out on parcel E, which is what the parcel we're rezoning. I think yesterday I had a conversation with the Nash Airport's attorney, Randy Jackson, and we were in disagreement or didn't quite know exactly. I said we want to limit it to just parcel E, the area. I think his understanding it was going to go further back down to where you see parcel C over here, which is what the parcel my client is keeping. They did not agree to that. But from, I think what he was saying, we would agree that if we could get this rezoned subject to giving an easement, which we've prepared the easement, we're waiting on the legal description because the surveyor hasn't got it to us yet. But my understanding is it will be limited to basically from here over, which is where the landing comes in. If that's the agreement right here, we would be in agreement with that, and we give them the easement. We want to be good neighbors. We're not trying to obstruct that with the airport, but at the same time, my client doesn't necessarily want to have an easement on parcel C forever. And we have no intention. He has no intention of building anything in that area, but we would. And Paul Horton has agreed to limit the area to parcel E. So I guess what we're asking you today is if we could do the rezoning for the two parcels, subject to us reaching an agreement and signing an easement for that area, which we'll do. Like I said, we're still waiting on the legal description, but if we can come to agreement and do that, we would certainly we would give them the easement, and we would not be able to build anything in that area. The house again would be more towards the road, so we feel like that'd be a good compromise. And
Can you say that again about the easement, the signed easement? What do you need to see in that contingency?
Well, we've already, so I prepared the easement and sent it to Nash's attorney. And I think there was a few changes that I haven't seen yet, but assuming they're nothing significant, I think the only issue right now is the area, the legal description for the area, which we do not have yet, but we're getting. So it's done, it's ready to go. I think we're in agreement. It's just the Exhibit B legal description and what that's going to be. And if we can, we're basically telling them that we want to limit it to whatever's on parcel E as they go over and not anything on parcel C. And once we get that legal description, I think we'll enter into that agreement, so.
Paul, does that sound right? Does that sound right to you then?
Yeah, everything sounds accurate.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's good. I wasn't sure, this morning whether or not that we were gonna, but it sounds like they're in agreement to that. And we'd be willing to give them the easement. And like I said, we want to be good neighbors. We're trying to work with them. That Nash Airfield's been there since the 70s, and we're certainly not trying to shut down their business by putting a silo or anything in that area. But they do need an navigation easement for that, and we're willing to give that to them. So the rezoning would be subject to entering into that easement, if that's okay. So that's all I have. So any other questions? I'm here. I believe Randy's here as well, but I think we're in agreement, so we'd appreciate it if we could get this rezoned. Thank you.
Okay. Lindsay, I have a question. From a protocol standpoint, is this subject to the second and third readings also?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there any more comment?
Yeah, and then we would just need, if they were going to do that and do the agreement, we would just need, I'm assuming since they've had Chad Daniels do the surveying, I'm assuming they'll have him come out and survey that back portion, and we'll just include that legal, insert it into the agreement, and then once it's signed and recorded, that we would not do you do a resolution. If you approve it, the auditor's office provides us a resolution. Our office then types a resolution and ordinance for our portion. We would not proceed with that until we had the actual easement in place, because we would call that an attachment
Right.
to it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. You had a slide up. It showed how much you need for the runway easement. Can you pull that back up? Yeah. So, and maybe this is yes. So how much of parcel C, which is not part of the rezoning, is that correct? Would this take? I know that's not part of it, but
So it would be calculated out, I believe it would be 900 feet. Let's see, I'm trying to remember exactly. So it's 1,000 feet from, no, 900 feet from our property line. And I think that their piece was, maybe they can answer this more accurately, 150 feet, something like that.
okay,
So
so,
about 750 feet on into parcel C would be that trapezoid shape.
okay. So this isn't really giving you a lot of easement.
No,
And it doesn't guarantee that anything can't be built in that
correct.
area.
Yeah.
Which that kind of concerns me. But if you are okay with getting that part of the agreement, I would be okay with this.
Well, I guess, I mean, it's just verbal at this point, but Randy said he's going to continue farming that piece and not build a luxury tower. So,
I'm more concerned with when it's going to be sold in the
well,
future. You have to look at how things and growth in Warren County, and that's a very desirable area. Nevada, since it's been paved,
So, I guess I'm not exactly sure what you're asking.
I think what she's trying to say is, if, granted, Randy owns the property now, but 20 days from now, he sells it to Joe Smith, and
Right.
Joe Smith comes in, that's what you're asking. Are you okay with that protection not being there? Am I correct on that?
Right.
But I figure we'll address that when the time comes. I mean, I guess the only thing we can address at this moment, and especially when Randy's, definitely opposed to putting an easement on into his property, I think we're gonna take what we can get at this point.
I understand that. I'm trying to think back, like, I remember there was, when the tower wanted to be built.
Yep.
The state tower.
Yep.
That was a major safety concern.
Yep.
And I think, in my opinion, this is a safety concern if you have houses built at the very end of your runway, or barns, or whatever.
Or plant trees.
It,
It's in our agreement, yeah.
it would hinder not only your safety, but that of whoever is right there,
Yep.
thinking that, oh, I'm fine, and here comes an airplane. So I would want to table this until we have that legal description, and then maybe work on getting with the Eubanks to see if an easement can be worked out. Nash has been there a long time. It's a great airfield, and I would,
For the record, since the whole tower debacle, we are public use. We are federally,
okay.
I can't think of the
Recognized,
word.
right,
Recognized,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
federally recognized.
Okay.
606 is our federal identifier. So you can go get in an airliner in Des Moines, punch in 606 and direct, and it's, I mean, it'll lay out, of course.
Right.
So we are an actual airport.
Fabulous, because I know you didn't have that distinction before,
Right.
so that's
Right,
wonderful.
exactly. That's why we changed it.
All right. Well, this is even more important to have that in place. Is that also for coming down? Forgive me for my ignorance of flying, but do you need that?
I have ignorance on how this board works. No problem.
Okay, well, I guess we're mutual then. Okay, so that clearance that you need, is that for taking off and
Departures and arrivals,
departures
yeah.
and arrivals?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, it just depends on which runway's in use.
okay, all right.
Yeah, and it's, like I said, it's depicted from state guidelines, which it says right there, it's actually pulled from federal guidelines, so, and it's public record,
Okay.
so.
I would encourage you, this is the time to get this done, to have this recognized. Development in Warren County is fast and furious, and most farmers, their investment is their land.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Any more comment? I would move to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second?
Roll call.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. Now we are on the issue of whether or not to approve or deny or table the rezoning application as submitted by Paul Horton. What are the thoughts here?
I would really like to table this until we get that legal description, because I think everything hinges on that approval. And then that way we don't have to go back and put it in and all of that. And that would be my motion to table this.
I'm really thinking that, and I'm going back, I'm seeing something in the actual minutes from the zoning, and it actually strikes at the heart of what we're dealing with right now. And this is from the meeting of October 14th. And one of the comments that was made was Bauman and Bowman both answered in response to a question about HOA. It's not required. Covenants must be finished prior to the Board of Supervisors meeting. To me, this falls into that realm of having the covenants all properly in place. So I was really thinking we were going to move through this thing pretty easily this morning, but I think in light of the uncertainties with some of the issues around the airfield and the cone that needs to be observed, I would really like to move forward with this, but I don't feel comfortable that all the ducks are lined up quite the right way. So I'm going to, are you making a motion to table?
I would, yes.
Okay, we have a motion to table. I will second. Roll call.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Peter,
Opposed?
Snell.
I am for the tabling, sorry.
I just want to clarify, so if they come back with the legal description and it only includes the part on parcel C and not parcel E and not parcel C, so regardless, you just want the legal description for whatever you want
And the covenants as well.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, covenants finished.
I'll tell you, I would have been willing to go forward with this today, but there's just enough questions and uncertainties. I wish we had it all together.
Yeah,
Because
no.
I would vote for it very quickly. But unfortunately, we aren't in that circumstance. So I think that if the parties involved can come to an agreement, the future board's going to have to deal with this. So we'll move on to the next item. Sorry about that. Okay. You know, I really wanted to vote for it, but I think there's just enough question here about what's going on. And besides that, I think this is, are you the only airport in Warren County?
Correct. We are your.
I thought that was the case, and I think we just need to be respectful of that circumstance on behalf of Warren County. Okay, we're on to item number 6, which is a public hearing for rezoning application as submitted by I-80 Concrete BRM Properties. I would move that we go into public hearing for the rezoning application submitted by I-80 Concrete BRM Properties. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. We are now in public hearing. Lindsay,
Okay.
you want to give us an overview?
Okay, so we have a rezoning application submitted by I-80 Concrete. They are the applicant. BRM Properties is the landowner, and they are requesting to a change of zoning to parcel number 15000070645, which is located at 2579 10th Avenue. This parcel is 34.36 acres, zoned A1 agricultural, and they are wishing to rezone to M1 light industrial. The zoning change being requested aligns with the future land use plan of Warren County. Adjacent uses are compatible with the proposed rezoning. The parcel is identified on the City of Cummings future land use map as part of the professional commerce land use, which could include activities such as the existing business, office space, general, however they want to define that. Utilities have been established on the site, adequate transportation system with existing access to the necessary roadways have already been established. We recommend that the application, testimony, exhibits, and other evidence, as well as the staff report, be accepted into record, and that Warren County Zoning Commission recommend approval of rezoning the property from A1 to M1. And then the zoning commission, motion by Kane to recommend denial of the rezoning of the property to the Board of Supervisors, second by Rooney. And that was a 4-1 vote. And the one that voted against that says, he states that no one ever came forward and complained the entire time the business was operating until someone complained about taxes on the property. So he didn't. And we had a couple members feel that they didn't think this kind of a business should be allowed in the M1 district, but that's what our ordinance states, and that's where it's allowed, is in the M1 district. And they were having a hard time grasping that it's defined under M1, and that's why they were, that's what guided them to go for the M1.
Doesn't M1 restrict inside of a building business?
It can, but the M1 states, let me read that notice. Yep, it would allow for A1 to M1, but this use, I have my ordinance back there, I'll go grab it.
Okay.
The M1, this use is defined under M1 and the concrete. So we've kind of ran into that with a couple different ones. So
Okay.
I'm gonna hook my computer up too, because I think Brett is here. He does
good.
have a PowerPoint, so it's on my email, so I'm gonna hook it.
Becky's
Okay.
right here.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, yeah. Okay. M1. Okay. So. M1. concrete mixing and concrete products manufacture. So that is
Okay.
allowed under M1.
And is that confined to the building, or it,
It doesn't state that.
because when I read M1, it says like all activities would be confined inside the property building.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of that gray area.
Okay.
You know, we've had these multiple M1s in the county, and some of them have stuff
Right.
outside. And, you know, and some of that can't be done inside. So, yeah,
Right.
some of these uses that are listed aren't all done inside. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? It's our
Okay.
gray
All right.
area. Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
yeah. I know that that needs some cleaning up, but I just wanted to make that clarification before we went any further.
Do you have any more questions for me?
I-
They did originally, because I'll read this part too. All of our concrete stuff in the county has tended to go under the ag use, under special use permit. And that was, just let me get to that part. I know it's in here. Sorry. Public owned. Just want to make sure I'm giving you the right part.
Are you just looking for another example or place where it's listed in the ordinances?
To you. There we go. Public or private temporary use asphalt or concrete plants with reclamation piles of asphalt or concrete and new material piles associated with paving projects. That's in the A1
Presently,
section of the ordinance, special use permit.
Okay.
So BRM I-80 originally applied for a special use permit
Okay.
and was denied by the Board of Adjustment. Well, then.
why
it
were
took
they
them-
denied? Did you recall? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I got those minutes here.
Was it because they felt that the other zoning classification was more appropriate?
So it was denied, to deny the application. Cool voted based on the business running illegally and not properly zoned. And
So they were denying it based upon the zoning. So they were interpreting the two categories differently then.
And I had explained, as well as Dawn, that the, Dawn Bowman, the Assistant County Attorney, she had explained as well that that is a special use permit. These were allowed in the A1 district. We had just done, I think, it was this summer, we had done one just right up by there on the east side of the interstate, who
Right.
was a special use permit
Right.
and was approved. So, yeah, it was a little shocking to us. Well, then we were like, okay, well, here's the zoning one. The zoning's a little bit, the beauty of a special use permit is you can put restrictions on that and put conditions that only so long or so this and that. And I do know that Brett has talked about this as that he's willing to consider a sunset for the rezoning as well. So like if the property was sold or the use is no longer needed, they would revert, they are okay to revert back to ag. That was what he had originally, and I'm sure he's still probably thinking that, but.
And do we have any capability at the county to catch those? I know before they would come through, and unless we had an application
At that, or I also have been thinking about that because we've had that before. I'm thinking that we need to have them sign an agreement with our office that if you, just a little special agreement that says, I will let you know if the property is sold, or that way it kind of puts it on the responsibility of them to get with us to get that reverted back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know how
I'm not
else to
saying I'm
track-
in agreement of
No.
that kind of thing, restriction right now, because of the area. It's very industrial, very desirable for this type of a business, as well as, just that whole exit is,
I do know that it's the only property on the road that's Warren County. The rest is Madison County on the west side of the road, City of Cumming, and City of West Des Moines. We've got Microsoft, and Microsoft is creeping down in. And so they're really an island. It's an island property, and I will let Brett speak to that, but I think he has been in contact with Cumming, and I don't know that anybody really knows what to do with it, and so the property is
this would
still
be a
kind of
good area.
in
I
kind of
see.
limbo.
Okay.
I would venture to say. So, and I did talk to Tim about the road, but like he said, that's Madison County. And so when I talked to the Madison County engineer, they have a 28-day agreement with the City of West Des Moines to take care of that road. So it's what City of West Des Moines.
Really?
And I think Brett has talked to them as well about, speed limit signs, paving, different things. And so, yeah, I know they have paved to the north up closer to Microsoft, and I know the day Dawn and I went out, I've been out there 2 or 3 different times, but I know the day I had Dawn, we sat and just watched all the cars shuffle in and out from that road. We're shuffling in and out of Microsoft, is where we saw the majority of the traffic going, so.
okay.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to this issue? And for the record, just state your name and address.
Brett McDonough, 32087 Sky Ridge Drive, Waukee.
Mark McDonough, 1819 South 14th Street, Adel.
We've got kind of a presentation if you guys want these.
Yeah, please share those with us.
We tried to keep this simple. Yeah, simple.
Sometimes
We get analytical sometimes.
the symbols it gets sometimes.
Yep, I agree. That and you never trust technology sometimes in regards to what it's going to do, but we just thought it was good to kind of go through. We've had questions in the past. How did we get to this point? What do we do? How are we different? What are some of those questions that have come up? And also address some concerns that have been out there from previous meetings. Just the simple things. And we started this as a side gig. We both had different careers in what we did. I don't know if a lot of people know here or not. I'm a chiropractor by trade. We've had multiple clinics in the Des Moines area. I still practice as well too, and help run this business. Mark was a financial advisor sitting at the top of 801 grand. And then after 2008 through 10, he decided that was not as fun anymore. And we did concrete back when we were in high school. So he's like, let's do some stuff on the side. We'd bought this property in 2015, my wife and I did. We're going to build a house out there. Obviously, the area's changed over the course of time, and we wanted to be in the Van Meter district because of families we knew and things like that. That's what took us back that direction on there. So that's what got us to that point. We've gone from the two of us knuckleheads doing this thing to, 2018, our youngest brother Ryan came back to work with us. He was a college football coach on there. A couple pickups, some random stuff. We boarded horses out there, to be honest with you. That was the original use of the property, and we still have our horses out there currently. As time went on, 2020 hit, concrete shortage became a huge thing. We met the people at Cementech. They introduced us to these volumetric mixers. It was a way to kind of fulfill what we did in a different way. Other people had tried to use Cementech's products in the local area, had never been able to figure out the logistics, and I give Mark a lot of credit. He is kind of an analytic, and he figured out how to make it work. And currently our trucks, we supply concrete all through the metro. Warren County uses us for secondary roads. Norwalk, City of West Des Moines, City of Des Moines, we're the only people that have been approved in the City of Des Moines. That was a lot of hurdles we had to jump through with that. We patch on I-35, we patch on I-80, clear out to Omaha. The DOT likes our trucks more than they like traditional ready-mix trucks now. So our relationship with Cementech's kind of grown over time because we've been an ambassador for that. They send a lot of people that are looking at their product up to that site in Warren County to see how does it work. Like anybody can buy a truck, but to figure out how it works is a whole nother thing. So that's how we got to where we're at. We've been upwards of 30 employees. We're probably in that like upper 20s right now, ballpark on there, getting towards the end of the year. Simple things like what do we do? I kind of explained a lot of that. The barrier rail, all that annoying concrete barriers you see on the interstates. There's 2 companies in the state of Iowa that make them. We're one of them on there. And we store them as well, too. There's nobody in the Des Moines area that makes them, so the cost of getting them here is crazy. So it's really helped with a lot of the projects. Currently, there's a 4,000 unit shortfall in the state of Iowa based on projects that have been let for the DOT already. No one knows how they're going to be made, and that's been a lot of like, how do you get these things out between us and the other provider that's over in Iowa City. So some of those barriers you see out there are things that have come back to store. Some of them were that we made. We just try to find those niches and fill them on there. We're kind of unique in that part.
So you're manufacturing those barriers inside the facility then?
Yep, inside the building. And that was one of the questions that came up with that piece. We don't mix anything on site other than the little bit we mix in the building that's there.
Okay.
That's on those barrier forms. Everything else is strictly a storage of material. We store rock, we store sand, we store powder.
We have a couple of photos coming up too that show the different buildings and what's currently inside.
I think I know the answer to this because I can get a feel for what kind of business people you are. But say, like, when there's concrete, I don't know how you do that and make those, but is there dust, and is that dust harmful? And are you going through the proper channels to provide the right dust control systems or the environmental systems inside your building? That's not, I'm gonna vote for your zoning no matter what, okay? I'm just curious about your manufacturing inside.
Yep. I mean, the trucks are designed by Cementech because that's a question that comes up with it. They go through that. We also, in this process, reached out to an environmental engineer out of Texas with regards to our silo we have on site and the trucks and all that kind of stuff. They did the research here. Warren County doesn't require anything. Neither does City of Des Moines, because that was another place we've looked at we try to pocket these load sites so that we're efficient, because it's not ready mix, it's a little bit different. City of Des Moines, same thing, they don't even require, Polk County, I should say, doesn't require a permit on it because of the lack of the dust piece that's on there. Versus traditional ready mix, we found in like different areas, because it's being mixed in the facilities you see, they have to enclose those facilities to be able to do it. Like with ours, it goes straight from the silo into the back of the truck, and it doesn't get mixed there.
Not even exposed to the environment.
Correct.
The sock goes down inside.
Yep, I got you. Okay, that's not the kind of concrete plants I've been in before.
No. That's where, I mean, most people see our trucks going on the road, they think they're a grain truck. They really don't know. And the crazy part is like, and Connor, the CEO of Cementech, will say, it's like, they're the largest manufacturer of volumetric trucks in the world right now. The state of Iowa, we're the largest holder of trucks that we currently have. Indianola's had a truck, City of Indianola does, as does City of Des Moines. And then Elder also has a truck, and then Corel has one truck as well, too. We have 7 trucks right now currently on there. But people are catching on. None of those other places had them until we had them, because then they saw how they worked, and that's kind of what spearheaded a lot of this direction with stuff. And the ready mix world got really wild here in 2021-22 with trying to get concrete from things. And it's kind of the mafia, honestly, and we've kind of figured out how to circumvent that and find ways to be creative to get what we need, period. And that's been a lot of the reason why the DOT's kind of liked it too, because they've got more control over what happens on there. The future stuff, and again, kind of keep these simples. With that Warren County site, the question's always been, are we looking to expand? No. We just want to keep what we have. Like I said, we organically got to that point. The special use thing too, when we went through that, was not knowing what we were going to do long-term with that site. We've been looking for something to move this to. I hate to say it, but the cities around, like, they're looking at industrial property now as data centers and big box, like, industrial buildings on there from a tax perspective. And I get it. The problem is there's all this infrastructure that's out there that needs to be built, and there's no place for companies to go. And there's a lot of people running the same thing consistently over and over. The stuff that's been designated for this in areas is already owned by groups, and it's really challenging. I mean, I talked to Travis Sisson owns 40 heavy industrial sites around town, or industrial-based type sites around town. He says they're unicorns. You literally can't find them anymore. He developed the one up in Elkhart, for example, some people are familiar with up there. Same type of thing. You're having to go to rural areas to develop land to make them happen now. It's on there. Yet we have all this infrastructure that's needed, and we get kind of stuck without a home.
Well, what a blessing that you got that land back. You know,
Yes.
I know it was a different purpose. but
Correct.
Yeah.
I've cussed it a lot of times, but at the end of the day, it's kind of become a good thing randomly, minus all this fun stuff that we get to hang out here. But we appreciate you guys' time hearing this as well, too. This, what are we, what are we not? Again, I kind of defined it. Concrete batch plant is very different than what we do.
Okay.
Like a concrete batch plant is like what you're talking about, heavy industrial M2 type zoning that's on there. What we do is a material storage facility that's on there. There's a couple pictures we'll come to that show like in Indianola as well as Elder's site and some of these other places like where they're located relative to other things around them as well too, to kind of give you an idea. Our office, like our corporate office per se, is in Clive, so like we don't really office out there at all. Concerns have been traffic. 95% of the traffic on that road has been Microsoft. I mean, when you go out there, if you hang out there for a while, it's car after car after car. They paved that Veterans Parkway to be the entrance point, but people figured out it's a lot faster going down to the coming exit, going over, taking Warren Avenue back north. Because of some of the concerns that have been raised by some of the neighbors and stuff, we've now route dang near 100% of our trucks north out of our shop now. It'd be easier to go back down to the Cumming Road, but we go north, back up to Veterans to get back to the city, just to avoid anything, minimize our amount of travel on that road. It's a pain in our butt to some degree, but at the end of the day, again, somebody said it before, try to be good neighbors on
Right.
there. We're not here to stir anybody's pot or
Right.
make things worse on that side.
Is it harder for you to go north on the gravel versus south?
Oh, yeah, yep.
So you're traveling more on gravel going north?
I should say, no,
Not more on gravel, it's less gravel, it's flatter, so it's
Okay.
probably a better way to go, it's longer to get everywhere,
A lot
but
longer to
there's routes to,
Okay.
we can get to pavement, and then we can, if we're heading west, we get on F90, if we're heading north, we Moffett Lake Road to Highway 5. We
Okay.
Get on the bypass, and then get on 35.
All right. So about how much of gravel are you talking? I think it, what is it, a
Quarter
quarter
mile,
mile
quarter
to
to-
the pavement where
Yeah.
Microsoft,
Yep.
West Des Moines paved? Okay, so,
and when they made that up there, there's a hairpin corner right there where Microsoft is at, and the semis that deliver to Microsoft can't get around that corner. So they've literally had to reroute them down the other way. And that's where we've communicated with City of West Des Moines about the paving of the rest of the gravel, because, I mean, one, the speed limit needs to be figured out, which Madison County also told us that's a West Des Moines thing they have to initiate. And the pavement piece, West Des Moines was given a pile of money to use towards something. They've chosen to just maintain the road, which they do a good job with, but
right.
yeah, they do a lot of dust control.
Brett, I'm going to suggest, I mean, you've got a lot of material here.
Yep.
And rather than for us really taking all this extra time, unless you really feel compelled to do that.
Well, I do have a question, and he's
Yeah,
getting
please,
into the.
please ask the question.
I'm sorry.
I'd rather get some dialogue going here.
Yeah, sure.
And so there's multiple jurisdictions on the road in which you guys are going to be traveling on. So do you have either written agreements or something about having a commercial? I know here we are, we have an ordinance that you have to pave to the nearest paved road for a subdivision. But for commercial properties, we have nothing. So, you know, you say it's in high demand. I'm thinking heavy, trucks carrying these cement barriers. Our gravel road is going, and it's not necessarily ours. I think we have an agreement with Madison. I think our engineer said we have a quarter mile of that. So I'm just concerned about that part of it,
Yep.
and I know you have an accident in here, which I don't know if this was, You were not found liable in the accident, so it's just a matter of,
Kind of a freak occurrence that happened on there. And
right,
we agree, like, that road needs to be improved. I mean, we're in the same boat, and that's been our thing, is like, let's try to do two things here. One, take the least amount of gravel as possible, take it away from where other cars are going. As well as two, kind of up, and again, assuming we stay in this site, up the ante with West Des Moines a little bit. I mean, it's a $12 million a year tax from Microsoft up the road from us.
yes,
They're there to help improve the infrastructure out there.
yep,
And it's been a headache for everybody out there. I mean, that's where
Yes.
everybody in the neighborhood would agree with that piece that's on there. And if we can kind of create a little more leverage and maybe drive some of that to happen,
Yeah.
great, that's on there. And we deal with the city a lot up there as well too, so I think we'd have a little bit more pull with it. It's just been not knowing what's gonna happen with all this stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
let's not get down that path yet, but I 100% agree. I mean, that
Right.
road needs to be improved upon in some capacity at some point in time. It was supposed to be, and they chose to take a different path with it.
right.
And that's why we're all.
That's just concerning to me,
Yep,
you know, that
for
they
sure.
didn't develop where they had said they were going to, which is the problem when we don't get things in writing.
Yep.
You know, because they.
For
so,
sure. Path of least resistance a little bit there.
Yeah, I'd really like to see these jurisdictions come together and have some kind of agreement moving forward for your business. I think it would be safer for everybody involved. You know, I'm a yes, but I don't know if it's a yes right now. I'm just concerned for all the safety. I mean, we've already had one, and it's freak, but doesn't mean with that kind of traffic that it could happen again. But that's just my biggest concern. I wanted you to address, as well as that, what you just did. See if you have it in here. You said you had pictures. Can we get to that real fast?
Yep. You could, go just down where, are you talking pictures where the city stuff is on there?
Yeah, like what you do inside the building, like what kind of storage is going to be needed?
Yep. So this is currently our office out there. It's not a whole lot to it with it. And again, we haven't updated much, not knowing if this is our permanent home on there. So that's where we plan kind of the morning with drivers or whoever's out at that site at that point in time.
Okay.
The next slide on there, that's our like shop building. If something needs repaired, it'll go in there. Same thing, it was an old hay building, essentially. We just insulated it where it's at. The water tanks you see on the side over there, that's what fills the trucks. There's a compressor pump back there that runs that. Behind the big tank on the right, there's a boiler that heats the water. So like this time of year when you need heat to the water, it goes into that. Those three big tanks in the back are admixes. This is in the big building. So those are the barriers that form the forms that form the barriers that's on there. There's really not much to those.
Okay, so what water are you on out there?
Warren water.
Really? Oh, no. Okay. All right.
That whole area is,
That's another concern, because they are, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, somebody was filling up their pool and we all lost water pressure. This is concerning.
yeah, we've never had, I guess, any issues with it in regards to water supply or anything like that over a course of time.
Okay.
On that end.
And you have an agreement with Warren Water?
We've talked to them
on that?
previously. There's no like written agreement per se, but
Okay.
we've talked to them because we talked about like if they changed jurisdictions and stuff, how does that all work and things like that. But
Right.
beyond that, there wasn't much of a question, I guess.
Is there a possibility of getting Cummings or West Des Moines or anything like that? Or is that like expensive trunk
I
line
think
to bring in?
once if future development happened in some of these other properties, that would be the only way it would happen
Okay.
on there. Because I don't know where that all supplies. It may be just to Microsoft up there and that's it on that
Okay.
end. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And that might be, I'm guessing that's Des Moines Water Works on there.
Okay. That would be great.
Yep,
It's just concerning right now with Warren Water.
yep,
So,
for sure.
okay,
Yeah, we've talked
okay.
to them and addressed it, and there was no concerns at that point in time.
We do
Okay.
bring in about a third of our water. We have a water truck, so we
Oh.
go to West Des Moines Water Works and fill that up.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So
Okay,
That
okay,
takes a third of our needs.
okay.
Through real small line that runs that property.
Yeah, I mean, these aren't huge tanks, but I think my pool is probably bigger than all of your tanks combined, but I don't know, it's just concerning, so.
This next picture is basically what the silo and rock pile look like, and the sand pile right next to it there, just to kind of give you an idea of the footprint of it that's on there. That's the view from the interstate on the left. That's the view from Warren Avenue, right there. Whenever we have anybody drop anything off, they always get lost because they don't really recognize it or see it because of that. Indianola Public Works, where that arrow goes to is where the silo's at there. That's the closest residential house, it's 325 feet away. Elder's site on University Avenue, 540 foot from residential. That's what their load site, same type of thing, looks very similar on that end. This is no rock ready mix, so this is an actual concrete batch plant that you see there.
Right.
Lot more mess to this. You're 320 foot, 17 foot away from residential on that. Current West Des Moines zoning, that's your industrial north of there. There's a property in between us, obviously. Here's our route that you can see that we take on here, going north, hitting Veterans Parkway, which gives us access to Highway 5, or back to 3580 on there. Yeah, like I said, the one question that's come up is like we do have some night pour stuff that will happen on there. When we get back, I mean, a lot of it is trucks are parking at that point, and I know one of the concerns has been if there's beep, beep, beep ever coming from it, it's an easy solution. We just get a better protocol for how that happens on there so that we're not creating more of that noise. We don't have dump trucks there at night. Only truck that ever be coming in and out would be a concrete truck, and it's not all the time, obviously.
For reference point, I just want to point out here, if you look at that interchange down there, that's the new Hy-Vee warehouse, isn't it? Over there to the east of the interstate.
Yep,
So
correct.
if you look at, I mean, you're in that proximity of a lot of other like, in fact, I'd say much more intense development than what you are.
Yes. We have a little cabin we put up on the top of the hill at that property, like a portable cabin. And my wife and my kids would go out there, and we used to have a really good view of the sunset. Now the 500-foot Hy-Vee building there, you don't see a sunset anymore, but it's still pretty peaceful for the most part out there. But yeah, it's changing a lot on that
It is.
piece.
You're about equidistance from that as you are the Microsoft, aren't you?
Yep, kind of smack dab between the two of them.
Right in the middle.
I guess the economic impact one might be a good one just to kind of hit there, which is like 2 slides down, I believe. We did some math here just the other day because we hadn't really put all this stuff together. 30 jobs, 2.2 million of payroll during 2024. Most of our employees live on the southwest side of the metro. 650,000 worth of revenue back into business in the city of Cumming alone on there. Over $1 million worth collectively back into businesses within 3 miles of our location. I talked about the Cementech thing before, the R&D. A stat I heard the other day, 8% of Warren County's tax dollars come from the commercial industrial properties on there. It's a really, really small number when you look at it in regards to
Yep.
the big picture here on stuff. And we deal with the counties on a lot of these things. I mean, we deal with Madison County, we deal with Warren County, we deal with Dallas County, we do a lot of patching for different groups or delivery, and they all need dollars to be able to maintain roads that are on there, period. And again, we fit into that thing in multiple different avenues, but that's been kind of our hope with this is to help kind of be a source of confidence for other people to try to move forward on some of these things.
Great.
The rest of the stuff that's on there is really feedback that you guys have gotten from different people from that map picture on there would be good.
Gotten a lot of positive feedback here from your neighbors and stuff.
Exactly.
Yep. This map represents emails that you guys have gotten through different things. I know of people who support us on there as well too. Honestly, it's been pretty humbling the fact that when you talk to some of these people, some you don't know real well, and you kind of get an idea of where they stand on stuff, and they have been really gracious with their feedback on that end. And we've tried to be good neighbors. We've tried to communicate on different things. We're not perfect by any means at the same time, and we hope that lines of communication continue to stay open, but having the support has been pretty neat to see. I'd say the last slide's maybe kind of you guys have seen a lot of these other things that have come through. Why are we here? Mark and I talked about this the other day. It's like, what what brings us here? Because it'd be a lot easier to just roll over and play dead. Or we've talked about selling our company. We've talked about a lot of other things. We're too dumb to do that, I think, and stubborn is part of it. But we're here for our team and our families. I mean, bottom line, we got little kids. I got a little 4-year-old boy at home. He's got 2 little boys and a daughter as well, too. Those kids love going out there and looking at the tractors. They love being in the trucks. I've taken my son, whether it's right or wrong, he's rode in a dump truck with me before on it and thinks it's the best thing in the world. Those kids will be part of this business at some point in time if we don't screw it up on there. We also have families, when we have our Christmas parties, see all the people in the room, like this is their livelihood. And we're like blessed with or cursed with part of the responsibility to help make sure it goes forward on there. And it's a struggle. There's a lot of struggles with running a business, and this has been obviously a hurdle to kind of figure out. Create awareness for the land use for infrastructure producers. I mean, this has been a big thing as we've been looking more areas. It's hard to find. We need to do more with the cities and the municipality groups to find more places for people to go on there, to do things the right way. And we knew, like I said, we needed to make a change. We weren't sure if we were going to move or going to stay, but making a change was something we needed to do to be right with it. And I think that's why, again, why we're here and we feel good about it. We know our tax dollars are going to go up. Good. It goes to a good spot at the end of the day, and we're doing the right thing. To bring necessity to the southwest side of the metro, there's not concrete supply down here. It's really hard to find. Nordic ready mixes are only one, and then CTI, which is across the interstate on that special use permit. Other than that, though, you got to go a long ways to find it right now. Volumetric mixers, Cementech and us, I mean, we really want to see this become a bigger thing for a lot of different reasons. And then the last we put on there as well, too, as we've kind of learned, like, let's see Warren County grow. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity down here, and I think in the long run, it's going to be an asset to the state of Iowa, it's going to be an asset to a lot of the people in general, but some of these commercial properties and things like that are the fuel to the fire that's on there. So that's our stuff. What questions do you guys have, I guess?
I have no questions.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I really don't either, because I think that what you're trying to do is get the right direction here. And it sounded like we had some conflicts within our process here as far as the special use permit, which would have just probably been the easier thing to do.
Yep.
And probably in many ways more restrictive.
Yep.
Because with what you're proposing here, we're probably going to change the zoning to make it possible for you to stay there.
Yep.
And be a part of it. And I like the fact that you pointed out that, you know, we are a little bit deficient in terms of our property tax base diversity. And the fact that you're already here, you're willing to upgrade, I'd say, to the M1 category, that's a good thing. So I really shouldn't be saying that because we're in a public hearing about this stuff, so.
This is where you do it, yeah.
This
Okay.
excites
So-
us too, and I think the special use permit, yeah, it would have been an easy solution, but it's like renting a house versus owning a house. When you own a house, you take pride in it, you do the things you want to do. There's some upgrades we want to make to our,
Right.
our property, like
Right.
get an office that makes more usable space for us, and clean up some of the stuff that, again, that from an efficiency standpoint could be better if we did it. I really do think, like, I'm excited about that. Mark's excited about it, making this a permanent home
Okay.
on that end.
Okay.
Great.
more than anything.
Brett, why don't we see if we can let some other folks have some time here and see if there are any other comments from anybody else?
Thanks for the time.
Any thoughts? Is there anybody else that would like to speak to this issue?
I have Rita Connor with the City of Cumming online that would like to make comment.
Okay, can we patch her in?
Rita, are you able to unmute?
No, she's incoming. Oh,
I live on that road.
Okay.
Would you like to listen?
Hold on just a moment.
Okay.
Is Rita on the line or not?
She's on Zoom. I was trying to get her on here.
Well, why don't you get her queued up, and in the meantime, we're going to have just a nice person here state her name and her address and make your comments, please.
My name is Nancy Dimerly. My address is 1126 North 60th Street. I live between Microsoft and the cement plant. That's my property. That's 81 acres right there. I split them. I have been here for the other times to say, I do not want these people because I can hear them. They are right on my property line, both of them. Fact of the matter, Microsoft woke me up at 2 o'clock this morning and banging their stuff. They've been doing that for 5 years with bright lights out there. And now I have this cement plant wanting to do it. Gary, can I have my paper, please? Thank you. I had eye surgery about 2 weeks ago, and I'm not seeing anything out of the right eye, so that's usually why I got my eye shut. So I'm not making any fun of anybody or anything. It's just that I can't see out of it. Anyway, as much as I can see in my notes, what I'm talking about is they were saying that they were using the north route to get out. The north route goes right in front of my house. So I have cement trucks going back and forth all the time. And this goes on from morning to night, even in the dark. They come in. And so much as the traffic is concerned, yeah, we don't have any cement because Microsoft, West Des Moines, put it there, stopped it before it got to my property. Fact of the matter, Microsoft even wedged over into my house to get some of my property, and I don't understand why they needed another 9 feet, but they did, and they took it out of my front yard. So anyway, the cement stops there. Sure, we can get more cement all the way down the road, but if it goes all the way down to the other connecting road, well then, what are we going to do with the width of the road? The road is very, very narrow. Fact of the matter, I have lost 4 mailboxes from Microsoft's semis, and I haven't lost anything from the cement people yet because when I watch them, they usually drive, they usually drive down the middle of the road, which makes it really tough for other cars coming up the road because they have to come up over a hill by my house to get up to where I am and where Microsoft is. Anyway, so therefore, it is dangerous for them to come up the road to go to the north. Now, if they go to the south, they have more hills. And there is a very steep hill right at the main highway going
East and west.
east and west, yeah. Can't remember which direction was going. But anyway, east and west. And it is very dangerous there too. But now not only do I have the trucks going up and down, but I also have to deal with Microsoft parking their semis on the road, and 99% of the time, they're backed up, and they are parked in front of my driveway. So therefore, I have to go out and ask the drivers to please move. Well, if they're backed up, where in the world are they going to move to? There isn't any way. So now we have the semi-trucks, or the cement, or the cement trucks, trying to get by these big trucks that are already parked. And it's almost impossible. If anyone else wanted to come up that road, they'd never get through. And you'd have to sit and wait, and I've seen them do that. So we don't have the room for them. And besides, this land out here I've been out here for 50 years, and this land is, or was, agriculture, even where Microsoft is. Fact of the matter, when I moved out here, there was just an old man who had all this land over there, and he had a house, and he did not like to have indoor plumbing. So he would come running out, usually in these drawers or naked, and was screaming and yelling because he was usually drunk. But this is fine. I mean, we laughed at it, and we went back in the house and did our own business. But this other traffic thing that is making so much dirt in my house, I mean, even my air filters, I have one in my bedroom, another one downstairs, and I put a new one in the furnace, and they can't take care of the dirt keeping it out. It can't, because the dust is bad. The guys, especially the younger ones, in the summertime, when they come out of Microsoft, usually they come out in twos, because that way they can race down the road, which means even more dust for me and the people on down. And we're not talking going slowly, we're talking speeds. They have actually clocked some of these guys, and they were going up to like 70 miles an hour. Can you imagine the cement trucks meeting those guys coming in? We've already had 2 truck accidents. No one was hurt, but you would be amazed at the pictures that they had taken that no one was injured. So, no, I don't want these people here. When I moved down here, it was very nice. My parents bought the land. I inherited it, and I intend to keep it as my father wanted me to, which is farmland. We had very good crops this year. It was the best year that we've ever had. I can't remember how much it was, but it was like 200 or something bushels. But anyway, this is what this land was. And those people with the cement plant, all they have done is destroy the land and made it messy. And the people who owned it before did have horses in there, but they kept the horses for the people who could not take care of them because they lived in town. So everything was immaculate. And now it's getting worse, and it's going to get worse if we allow more of the cement stuff. So, do you ask me, do I want them here? I'm saying no. I want you to have them move somewhere else. There's lots of land in Iowa, and they can move somewhere where the land is really bad, such as where old land places, I mean, where they used to put all the trash and stuff. Why couldn't they get that land? It's already messed up. And build there and put their cement plant there. I mean, it's already open. It's already messed, the land is not useful for anything else. So go there. Just go away from the people, because right now, a lot of people are building houses right along in there. And one of the guys said that the neighbors were happy with him. I have not spoken to anyone. I have been here twice with this, with all my neighbors, and every one of them has said that they want them out. So no, we're not happy with it. But there are more town people that just came out. Like I said, I have been out here for 50 years, and I know what's been going on. And I mean, it can't be that big of a problem to find some other land somewhere else. But thank you for listening, and please vote no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak, or do we have?
I have Rita on the phone.
Okay. Rita, can you hear us?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Please state your name and your address.
I'm Rita Connor. I'm the city administrator for the city of Cumming. My address is 707 North 5th, Huxley, Iowa.
You're welcome to speak.
I'm sorry, can I go ahead?
Yes.
There's a bit of a delay here.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for the time. I appreciate the board's time this morning. The decisions that they are faced with are many, and planning and zoning is a difficult subject. What I'm here to offer is the City of Cumming's communication on this. This is a two-part response to the proposed rezoning. We have a neighborhood that is incorporated into the city that's directly south of this property. That's the Twin Ponds development. I began to hear from those folks in 2023, not long after I arrived at the city, and began to try to understand what the operation was and learning all the new elements of work and so forth with the position. The folks that are adjacent to this use have been very vocal with us here at the city, and also attended prior meetings of the Board of Adjustment and the Plan and Zoning Commission. The second element is our city completed a comprehensive plan for our future land use, and Lindsay is correct that that is showing for this area professional commerce. I want to emphasize two things on that category. One is that we're really looking at the I-35 adjacent properties for that are undeveloped. Looking at Warren Avenue, we have a really solid setup there of existing residential uses, not just from Twin Ponds, but from unincorporated Warren County and unincorporated Madison County. So those are the voices that have been coming to us, and that's the planning that we've done. We would not see industrial use as compatible with the professional commerce use that we've been considering and included in our plan. And the primary reason for that is we are looking for commerce that's going to fully activate the area in terms of offices, businesses, possibly some retail, possibly some mixed use. But again, not coming back into Warren Avenue, which really gives us a mixed landscape today. A lot of residential, Microsoft up at the north end, and this use kind of here in the middle on the Cumming Avenue side, although not incorporated into the city. From what I understand about the project, and from what we shared in terms of citizen concerns, there was no site plan. I'm sure glad to be corrected on that if there is one that was in place when the business owners determined they wanted to launch this business. Site plans are usually the time where we can all learn and figure out if we're picking the right place so that we don't make an investment that can't be continued because of other factors. And as local jurisdictions, we're trying to understand what uses make the best neighbors and are the most practical. Because it doesn't seem like that occurred. We're all kind of cart before the horse feeling now, which is difficult. Certainly no dispute with the business owners or their dreams or visions or how they operate. This is purely locational, with an industrial use not being compatible with the residential community that's around this property, and also the zoning intentions and comprehensive plans that we have as a jurisdiction, and also the city of West Des Moines appears to have as a jurisdiction. So that's all. I would certainly answer any questions that the board might have of me representing the city, or provide anything else that's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any questions? No. Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to speak today?
I do believe there's a Christy Geisman on line that would like to speak. Give me one moment and we'll get her on the phone here.
They're saying that they can hear themselves on Zoom, but we can't hear them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have several people on the line today because this is the middle of the day. Most of us had to take off
Yeah.
work to be here, so a lot of them are trying to call in remote. So all of the neighbors that you heard.
Why don't you come forward here? You're making comments, so let's come on forward and make
I
comments.
was just clarifying that the Zoom is not working for those that are on the line. So this is supposed to be a public hearing today, and it's middle of the day. So it's difficult for several of us to get here. So I think several are trying to connect on Zoom.
There are several on Zoom.
We just can't hear, you can't hear them for whatever reason. I
Yeah.
think Rita called in for the city.
Yeah,
Yeah, I asked.
She had to call through the cell phone.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, there's the limitations of the technology we have available. And so I think we're going to have to, if we can't hear them, this is the way it is. Is there anybody else here in the room that would like to present? You're welcome to come up, state your name and your address.
My name is Brent Stanford. I live at 341 North 58th Place. We're exactly adjacent to this property, to the south. Just to clarify, we received a letter that said we would be able to come in via Zoom. So are we now saying we're not going to be able to do that?
Well, if the technology doesn't work, it's kind of self-explanatory. And that's not because we didn't want it to work. It's just that it
How
doesn't.
those voices be heard, I guess, is what I'm.
Well, they probably won't.
Okay.
That's the reality of it.
Okay. So if that's the case, I'll be speaking on behalf of many of my neighbors. Like I said, we live in the Twin Ponds development that Rita spoke about. I want to thank you guys for what you do here. I know it's a time commitment and there's a lot of issues around here. I kind of want to start off, a lot of people are talking about Microsoft, right? And Microsoft was proactively zoned. They built there in West Des Moines, all in accordance with all the laws, codes, everything of the county. Once they're built, they're not going to be a nuisance of a neighbor. It's going to be a quiet, dimly lit server farm with like 30 employees, right? So the construction has been trying, but the construction will be over soon, and they will be a nice, quiet neighbor. I cannot say the same about our neighbors to the north with I-80 Concrete. Anybody on the board or in the room that appreciates sleep, there's no sleeping in my house, there's no sleeping in the Daniels' house, there's no sleeping in several of the houses around there when I-80 Concrete is working. The dump trucks come in there with the reverse siren beeping. It sounds just like an alarm. It rings right through the valley into the side of all of our houses. And when those trucks come in at 2 a.m., you're awake. Sounds just like an alarm. He mentioned taking care of families. I like to take care of my family as well, right? And I don't like my kids to be up in the middle of the night hearing what sound like alarms from the neighbors. If you're familiar with dump trucks, when they unload to clean out, they bang the gate. That you can hear ringing through. So, and the skid loaders are nonstop. So that's why, and the safety concern on the road are the two primary reasons why the residents around that area are here and not in support of the rezoning, the noise and the safety of the road. So with that said, we've been here for 3 meetings now. It's a little frustrating that we have been approved in those prior meetings and then come here and hear one of the members say they are going to vote for this no matter what. That is disheartening. So just to go through those meetings because there've been some things that have been glossed over. This business is operating illegally against the codes and regulations of the county. The county has been made aware of that. The county has done nothing. We as residents, I think, were naive to think that that would be handled. It has not. And so now we're here with a business that's operating illegally now, begging forgiveness and asking for it all to be wiped away, right? Wiped clean. I have a problem with that personally. The complaints that we made that Rita, the only negative vote that we got was from the zoning commission, and he said that nobody complained. That's why he voted against it, right? And Rita just explained, our complaints went to the city. Rita was working with the county and I-80 to get a resolution. And again, we were probably naive in thinking that that would happen because we thought we were on the right side of the law, right? So the zoning, in my opinion, these zoning issues should be considered proactively. If a business wants to start up, they should register and try to get the property rezoned, and if that rezoning happens, then they plan their business and move forward accordingly. In my world, I would not do it the opposite, and that's what we've got here. So going back to the Board of Adjustments meeting, the very first one, they did shut down that temporary use permit. One of the main reasons they shut it down was because there was no time frame listed on it. So even though it said temporary, we didn't know if that meant 2 years, 5 years, 50 years. We didn't know what temporary meant. The Board of Adjustments was extremely concerned with the safety on the road. If Giesmans are able to participate, they have videos and pictures of the accident. The accident is horrific. A cement truck crashed into a car that was legally parked on the other side of the road and did significant damage. It's very lucky no one was killed in that car. So their concerns, and then there's another video, and the video exists because the school bus had to file an incident report because as the kids were getting off the bus crossing the road, a truck, and granted this wasn't an I-80 truck, but this just goes to show what the road is like. A truck pops over the hill, you see it fishtail as it's trying to stop, and the kids stop literally in the middle of the road, go back toward the bus, and the truck gets up, stopped maybe 10 or 15 feet from the kids. Right? That's the type of road that we're talking about. It's very hilly. Line of sight is not good on it. And so that was the primary concern of Board of Adjustments, was that safety issue of the road and those big trucks coming in and out. They were also concerned about the illegal operation of the business, and those were the reasons that they voted 5-0 to shut down the temporary permit. Okay, so then next we come back to the zoning commission just a few weeks ago, where it got voted 4-1 against rezoning. 4-1 against rezoning. The one person that voted again said it was because nobody complained, which we've established here was not the case. Okay, again, the primary safety concern was of the road. Additionally, our understanding is that to be able to be zoned light industrial, it's in the county code and requirements that road has to be paved. It is not paved, it's a gravel road. So just on that one stipulation right there, that is against county code, and a vote for this means that we're throwing that out the window, I guess. The other member that voted against it said that she didn't believe this was light industrial. She doesn't believe that concrete trucks and full-size dump trucks are light. I agree. They are not light industrial. They're heavy, heavy machinery. And when they're loaded, that truck that was able to get stopped before hitting the kids on the school bus, if that had been a large commercial truck, there's no way. It would have gone past. Whether it hit the kids or not, is neither here nor there, but it would not have gotten stopped. Okay, and then additionally, they were concerned about this property being an island there between Cumming and West Des Moines, and Cumming wishes to annex that with the land use that Rita talked about, and the one member said it is not the board's intent to manipulate planning of the city by making any judgment, and that was one of the reasons that he said no. One additional thing, the I-80 is kind of saying that they have a property hardship, right? That this property can't be used for anything else. BRM is registered in the state of Iowa about 5 miles down G14. That's where their legal address is. The community that legal address is in is very similar to ours. So I don't see any differentiation between operating it there and operating it right next to us. Probably the reason they don't want to operate is there is somebody that's involved with BRM lives there, right? It's probably why they don't want to do it, which is why we don't want them to do it. So in closing, the major reasons, that road is not safe for big trucks. We've got kids in the neighborhoods. We've got families in the neighborhoods. And flat out, it's not paved, so it doesn't meet the county's requirements for light industrial. Again, the qualification of light industrial is also in question. Do giant dump trucks and concrete mixing trucks qualify as light? I don't think so. The island issue that the city of Cumming has plans to annex that area, and their plan is for professional development, not industrial. The properties around that, to my knowledge, are commercial, not industrial. They're warehousing, right? Server farm and warehousing, commercial. That's far different than industrial. Brett showed the examples of the other industrial areas. I don't think those industrial areas can be heavily considered because we don't know what order everything was zoned. My guess is that the industrial zoned properties were there first. People chose to build around it in residential areas, right? We don't know that those residences existed and then they rezoned this industrial and these plants popped up. I sincerely doubt that that's the case, as it would be here. We know change is coming in our area. We have a quiet, serene neighborhood. It's been great to raise our 3 kids. I know our neighbors feel the same way. And this, there's no doubt, this is right on my property line. It's going to impact my property value if this adjacent property gets zoned industrial. Another one of the county's, considerations is that it doesn't negatively impact adjacent properties, right? I don't think anyone could argue that it wouldn't if I've got this beautiful acreage right next to a concrete plant instead of a horse farm. So we know change is happening. We're not opposed to everything going on there. We just want it to be planned and done right. We agree with the city's recommendation of professional development area for that property, and that's what we want to see happen. Something that's planned and executed rather than retroactively trying to pound a square peg into a round hole. Economic impact. It's great to have companies. I'm pro-business. I'm pro, growing resources and everything in the county. To say that you lose this property and you have to shut down your business, I just don't believe is realistic. You're going to move it. You're going to find another property, hopefully a property that's more appropriate, and you're going to keep running your business. If it's profitable, you'll find a way. Many people in this room have run businesses. There's hurdles that you jump through. This is just one of them. It's no guarantee that this would end their business. I don't believe that to be truth. So I guess in closing, and speaking for maybe several who don't get to speak on Zoom, we ask that you deny this rezoning request. Any questions?
Yes. How many residents are in your Twin Ponds?
Yeah, I think there's about 12 houses in Twin Ponds, and then another 5 or 6 adjacent on the county road going north and south on Warren Avenue.
Okay.
That are directly across from.
Right. Is this the same neighborhood that also has petitioned Madison County to try different things on the road? I'm trying to get a feel for where your neighborhood is, and it's directly south of the.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm some of the neighbors that live on that road may have. I haven't been a part of any of that with Madison County.
Okay.
But we wouldn't be in Madison County. We're in Warren, but there are several neighbors on the other side of the road.
All right.
But yeah, where the property is, we're adjacent to the property to the south, and there's 4 different lots that adjoin the property on the south side.
Okay.
Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to come and speak at the public hearing today?
I have Christy Giesman on the phone.
Hi, guys. This is Christy Giesman. We live at 200 North 60th Street.
Oh, excuse me, stop. Could you state your name again, please, and also your address?
I think we need to mute.
Can you mute the background noise too? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I just hopped off of Zoom. I think there was an echo on it. Yeah. So again, my name is Christy Giesman. We live at 200 North 60th Street, just down the road here from I-80 Concrete. I just want to go through, Lindsay, are you able to bring up the pictures that Josh sent over via email? I just want to go through about 9 bullet points and then I want to mention a couple of things that have not been addressed.
Christy, which email?
Josh sent it on The 16th,
Yep.
December 16th, with some attachments of pictures of the accidents. And then I sent an email this morning. I don't know if you received it, but I wanted to speak to some of the contracted traffic that I-80 Concrete brings into the neighborhood. But I'll speak first to the 9 bullet points that I sent across. We are asking the board to please vote against the I-80 Concrete's request for rezoning for multiple reasons. Number 1 is safety of the road. This road is not currently up to Iowa DOT's standard of being 24 feet wide. This road is less than 24 feet. The road is not up to Iowa DOT's code of having a 4% crown. The road is not up to the Iowa DOT's standard for line of sight. The 2 hills are too steep and do not provide enough room for safe braking distance. The volume of traffic significantly exceeds the Iowa County Engineer Association's limit of no more than 200 vehicles per day. I will note here, Josh and I have manually counted throughout the past few months, and we have put a camera down by our road. We are looking at 300 to 600 vehicles on this road on any given day. There are no speed limits, which by the Iowa DOT's code 321.285 means the speed limit defaults to 55 miles an hour. I will echo Rita's comment. I have seen vehicles go on this road 60, 70 miles an hour. Due to these 5 reasons, the road is a major safety concern for the residents. Accidents have happened. On May 18th, 2023, 2 people were almost killed when they were struck by an oncoming I-80 truck. The sheriff's report clearly states the accident was due to the I-80 concrete truck driver. On July 9th, 2024, another concrete truck lost control and veered onto Asa Canoyer's property, causing property damage. Pictures and sheriff reports are attached. Additionally, one of the most concerning things is that there was an incident recently of a child crossing in front of a school bus on September 9th, 2024. The family that lives on this road went to the bus barn in Norwalk and got the video footage, and it illustrates that the line of sight is not significant enough, and a child was almost hit. Josh did attach that camera footage also. On page 58 of the Warren County Comprehensive Land Use Plan, under the section Rural, Commercial, and Business, it states that development should be limited to areas with a paved roadway network. Rita Connor's email from November 18th, 2024 stated that the city of Cumming future land use for the parcels
Okay,
is not to pursue heavy industrial equipment. And finally, during the November 18th, 2024 Zoning Commission meeting, 2 of the board members referred to this parcel as an island. We, the surrounding landowners, received absolutely no benefit from this being rezoned, and home values will decrease. I want to also, I'm not sure if you're able to see the video footage, the email that I sent, but I do want to point out, I know that a lot of this conversation is about the traffic that Microsoft brings to this road. I-80 Concrete brings traffic to this road in very large trucks and semis. On August 7th, they contracted with DeCarlo Demolition. I was here all day, and there were semis full of dirt and rock. Dozen after dozen after dozen, hauling to I-80 Concrete. I called DeCarlo Demolition that morning because these trucks were using our road like a roller coaster. Nothing changed that morning, so I drove up to I-80 Concrete and I asked them kindly to please have these trucks slow down. They cannot stop on a dime. I have a 16 and 15-year-old that pull out of my driveway multiple times a day. And then again on September 22nd, I don't know if you can see pictures, but again, DeCarlo Demolition, and this time Kelly Cortum, semis on this road, driving up and down. I think in one of the pictures you can see one of the trucks heading to I-80 Concrete, a huge semi, and then another semi passing him, that's going up past or coming from Microsoft. So we just want to point out, I know that everyone's zoned in on Microsoft, and we do appreciate that I-80 Concrete is heading north, but in all due respect, you have neighbors to the north also. So those were the other things that we just wanted to mention to the board, and we do appreciate your time listening to us today. Do you have any questions for me over the information I just provided?
No,
I don't believe so.
I don't, unless other board members know.
And then are you able to see the pictures and the video Josh sent over?
Yes, Lindsay pulled up the email, and so they're
Great.
looking at it.
And then they have.
Appreciate it.
All the emails that I.
Yep, and all the other pictures have also been provided to the board.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak? Please state your name and your address.
Jill Stanford, 341 North 58th Place, Cumming, Iowa. And again, my husband Brent spoke earlier. I sent an email this morning, so with some photos. I was wondering if we could show those today. Sorry. It's okay. Yeah, so just wanted to echo, what my husband Brent had mentioned about this, essentially this property and the change over time. So my big concern is, and our understanding as we're, as our neighborhood has been quiet, we understand there's change around us, and we're part of that. I was part of the City of Cumming Planning and Zoning Commission for many years, so I understand the role you guys are in and what you're trying, what you have to, decisions you have to make. The challenge with this one is as residents, and we've been there for 18 years. Our son just turned 17 years old. We've been there for a while. Fairly quiet neighborhood, great place to raise the kids. We've known Bittersweet Farms sold to BRM, which is a company, not a person, sold to BRM in 2015. So we knew there was a sale that happened. Change started to happen over time. At that same time, the interstate I-35 exit, the interchange, was being built. So there was a lot of construction in the area. We wanted the new interchange. We were like, thank goodness they're making these changes and improving that exit ramp. At that time, crusher, that portable crusher was placed somewhere around there. We started to get a lot of portable construction equipment in the neighborhood. We were good with that, like all for community improvement and improving the interstate. So then we get into 2020 and now where we're at today. So over the past probably 5 years, that operation has continued to absolutely expand, and it is where we're at today. This is why we're here. We've called and complained to the city. They have since then filed retroactively, not proactively, for a variance. By the way, okay, so now the pictures are up here. So on the top is 2015. This is Bittersweet Farms, beautiful horse barns. It was a great property. They were training horses, boarding horses, and now you saw the pictures from BRM. What they're doing inside that facility is not ag, right? That's the first time I've ever seen it, so I'm not sure what all is going on there. But the next picture below is what it looks like today. So it is not a small operation. And if we keep scrolling down, those are the homes that are impacted. In 2015, that's Bittersweet. This is Twin Ponds. Again, 15 or so homes. Our house is to the furthest on the side of the picture there with the pond. Great place. We have some timber for the kids. Have really enjoyed it, but now the noise is unbelievable. And we started making the complaints over the summer months. They were operating through up until midnight sometimes. There's another picture that's in my email that you can see it from our house now that the foliage of the trees has, it's the winter months, so we don't have that buffer from the noise with the trees. But, if you scroll down, you can see the next one. There's some links to some videos so you can actually hear it as well. But, that's the property. So it's gone from a horse farm to this. It is portable, as Brett mentioned. They can move it somewhere else, go to another ag land that's right off of paved road and operate there. And in fact, back to that PDF file, if you don't mind sharing that again. So if you research BRM LLC, go to the state of Iowa, look at their registration, the address is actually 5 miles away from this location if you scroll down. So it is actually just across Howell Tree Farm, the registered address to the property, another acreage that's in ag land, and it's right off G14. So I guess the question I would propose, and maybe we do a little more research on this, but why not move it to somewhere versus retroactively allowing for this industrial activity and large dangerous trucks in the area and noise. So from my concern, it's the biggest thing is noise for us. It's changed our property. And again, we know change is happening. Microsoft is silent. It's a silent server. I mean, it's really busy right now as they're building it out, but 5 years from now, it's the best neighbor to have because they'll be quiet and they're not going to make a lot of noise. We don't get impacted by the trucks because we're not on that road necessarily. It's the noise for us. And I think in my email yesterday, I had a kid homesick with a stomach flu, and he, was just trying to sleep during the day, and it was just constant banging. And, they're loading trucks with giant loaders, dumping it into a dump truck, and then those trucks are backing up and moving out all day long. So it wasn't the intention of the property. It is going to change our property value. And again, I feel like, what we heard in the initial Board of Adjustments meeting, everyone voted against it, approving it, except for one member. And even one of the members said they should cease and desist. That's their opinion. They're operating illegally. So while I feel like what they described and kind of growing their business, I'm sure it's evolved, but we can't allow this, exceptions to these rules. And if you approve it today, you're doing just that. You're allowing, illegal activity to happen over time, and you're telling them that it's okay. So from my perspective, again, there's some links and some videos to the noise, just you can hear what it's like for us, but we would like it to stop. And do not support the approval of this rezoning because it will impact this area and change for the entire future of that location. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
I have Josh on the phone.
Okay, please state your name and your address.
Yes, can you please state your name and your address?
Sure, Josh Giesman, 200 North 60th Street. I apologize here, I'm in an airport, so if there's any feedback, that's the reason why. I think the number one thing that really I want to say, and I know it's already been discussed, just the safety issue. I don't know if the pictures have been shown up in front of the group or not. But really, if you look at the one picture, I ask you please pull it up, look at it. 2 people almost died in that car. They were sitting in there, they were eating their lunch, an I-80 truck hit them head on. I attached the sheriff's report to show that it was the I-80 concrete driver's fault. It's stated in the sheriff's report. There's also the bus cam footage of a child almost being hit by a truck. The reason for this is it is an unsafe road, according to the Iowa DOT standards. There's too much traffic. We can argue over that, but literally the road is not wide enough. There's not a crown. The line of sight is illegal, and it's because of this that there are accidents and people are almost dying. If you're looking to set up some type of industrial use operation, you have to have the proper infrastructure in place to accommodate the safety needs of the citizens. This is not some prospector looking at a blank piece of land and thinking, man, this would be nice if this was industrial over here. This is an organization who has been operating illegally. And what they're trying to do is game the system. They were denied by the Board of Adjustments. And this is the only avenue they have to try to rezone because they don't want to move their location. And I'm telling everybody now, there will continue to be more accidents. It's just terribly unsafe. I ask you, please, do not vote for this. That's all.
Thank you. I believe we have another gentleman that wishes to speak. Please state your name and your address.
Jake Weiss, 807 East Scenic Valley Court, Indianola, Iowa. I just came here. I'm a business owner myself here in Indianola. Have been through some of these similar processes with Lindsay in the past, regarding zoning issues. As Brett said, they did this organically. This wasn't their plan. That is why it is retrospect, I would assume. My personal experience was the same. We had a business that we moved to the country as, 100 people. It just, when you start a business in your home, it's everybody's dream, American dream, to start your business. You start out of your house, you grow, and then a lot of people move to the country because that's the next possible step. You want to operate out of your home, have your family and your business there. As that grows, you have these growing pains, and would you mind bringing that PDF up from her email, please? Sorry. And that's why it's retrospectively, in my opinion. The one that had the PDF with the aerial images from 2015 and 2024.
She sent it today.
I apologize, I didn't have any stuff prepared. I just came on behalf of these guys because I've been through the same situation. So, it is retrospectively. They're going through the avenues that were brought to their attention because of the complaints and the, quote unquote, illegal use of the area. Similarly, we use that, they tried to get the special use permit, which would have been probably a better fit for this because it would have given them a timeline to get out of there. I know they're actively trying to find other spots. They're not everywhere. It's hard to find. They're costly. If they were in regards to the immediate, shutdown of their business or whatever, it ceased to exist or whatever. As a business owner, you die. You can't just start something like this or shut it down and then expect to make it, and continue on. They're going as far as, that was denied, so now they're going to go through the process to get it zoned industrial, which is a much greater tax revenue for Warren County, who obviously we only have 8% of our revenue from businesses, so that is, as a business owner, I know what taxes cost here in Indianola and Warren County. They're not cheap. I think we're the third highest taxed county in Iowa. I'm not sure if that's correct or not. No, it's not correct. Okay. Well, I was told that. So.
Just the
We're
opposite.
the fourth lowest.
Just the opposite.
Okay. So.
Out of 99 counties.
Okay. So, we need it. We need the income. And the only way this road is unsafe, it's very clear this road is unsafe. I've traveled it myself. I have not been to the north, but I know the south is very, very treacherous. Only way to get that is meetings like this, bringing attention to the safety concerns, bringing tax revenue to this. This is a large piece of land. It's a lot of tax revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Going from ag's nothing. I tried to do this on my ag property, and we had to go through the zoning commercial, and I said, no, it's not worth it. We'll move to town. I didn't have the time. I was brought against a lawsuit against me by a neighbor, so I had to make the decision on what I wanted to do. And in the efforts of running a business, I couldn't run a circus at the same time. So we, about 2 years prematurely financially, took on the step of moving. So it's definitely not something you do overnight. It took us 2 years. So I'm also on the Indianola Planning and Zoning Board here in town, and understand a lot of the stuff that's going on here, deal with it in that aspect of it. Looking at the lay of the land, in a site plan, they're going to require a landscape buffer usually, especially with industrial and commercial uses. I know that there's a pretty good sized creek that runs through there on that blue line at the bottom. There's trees. Obviously, it's fall, so, you're going to see a lot more of that right now because all the leaves are gone. But, that is a pretty significant landscape buffer by any means of a site plan. So there is that avenue as well. So I know that they do a lot of stuff with the DOT with these barriers. They're very much in demand. We do business with them. We use their ready-mix trucks down here in Warren County, and they service farther south than what our normal concrete company here in Norwalk will service or Indianola will service. So, it's behooves us as a company that uses them and pays them for their materials. So I just want to come and give my 2 cents and appreciate your time, and thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak? Again, please state your name and your address.
My name is Nick Oppold. Address is 4304 98th Street in Urbandale. I'm a little bit removed from the situation geographically. What I'm up here for is Brett and his brother are friends and family. Known them for a long time. We spend some time down there, myself and my kids and wife included. Don't do it a lot, but they enjoy the horse situation, especially my wife. we're in a situation here where unfortunately it's this corridor and everything else that ties in closely is affected by getting swallowed up by commercial and what we do as people. The one thing I just want to say is if I had to deal with somebody, Brett and his family would be somebody I'm going to back. Brett's going to do it the right way. We're probably not going to share the same views as being residential versus him trying to run his business. I'm a self-employed person as well. I understand the struggles. But Brett and his brothers have pulled this thing together and have done well for themselves. And they're just, again, we all get in certain situations. They're trying to do the right thing, which is why we're here today. So, but again, I'm here to support what he's doing. I enjoy the space that he has. And I appreciate you for what you guys do too, and I wish everybody the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? But you can come back up, Brett. Come back up.
I just wrote a couple notes down from some of the comments that are on there. And I think the part that sucks the most is like, I don't want to have ill feelings and crap with people on there. That's never been our goal from the start on this thing. And we wish the circumstances were absolutely perfect where this thing would fit like turnkey like that. I'm confident that over time that we're going to continue to get towards that point that's on there. The question came up a lot about the illegal this, illegal that. And I think Mr. Vice kind of pointed out the fact that when you start these, there was no idea in our head that like, oh, this is what it's going to get to. In the last 2 years, we finally got to that point where like, yeah, we need to do something with this one way or the other. And that's when we started kind of looking. What are different options on there? And then obviously this last spring, we'd had that complaint filed from somebody down in Truro about paying your fair share of property taxes, and that's kind of where we started. We talked to the zoning office here in town, went through what are our options. Special use became kind of the first thing on there. We'd have loved that, just been like, yep, 2 years or a year or 5 years or whatever the number was that was on there, that we could figure out what the long-term solution was with it. And I think through that process, we kind of got to this, and we both kind of thought like, this is a better avenue to go based upon what we're doing and what options are even available out there. Moving 10 miles out in the country, it doesn't work. Not for what we do in regards to that. That address that gets brought up, that's my old house. I've moved since then out there. I'm the sole owner of BRM Properties. We have a couple investment rental places that we have that are on there. In regards to doing that, I wish there was just a simple solution with it, but there's not on there. The distance to residential stuff, this couple here, we measured from our silo to their house, they're 715 feet from there. You saw some of the distances up here in the 300s, 400s tops, distances from similar type operations in cities, for example. Again, dump trucks at night, things like, we don't run dump trucks at night. We run volumetric trucks if they ever go out. There's one or two that go out on there. And like I said, the simple solution with those things, we don't back up. We don't use different things that cause those things to happen on there. We load trucks earlier in the evening so we don't have to do it later in the day. Some of these things, we've tried to get some more communication from people in the area as well too. If there's things we can do to help. I've reached out to City of Cumming 3 times in the last 3 years, and I've never gotten anything back from them on there. I sent Rita an email as well too this last week asking about that. I reached out to city council members, things like that, to get an idea what the game plan was. Nothing back on there. So with regards to that, that's just a piece of the story that hasn't necessarily helped with it. Scott, who owns the property right behind us next to the pond, that professional commerce is going to go on, he's got a lot to lose if this doesn't fit on here because of based on what they're wanting to zone. He has zero problems with this at all. People across the street, I don't know if you guys saw the neighbors, the closest residential across the street from us, Brian Hildreth, on there. I'm just going to read it quick because I think it's important based upon some of the other things that come back. My name is Brian Hildreth. Keely and our 3 sons live directly across to the west from I-80 Concrete. My kids are the 5th generation in the Norwalk school system. My mom grew up in Cumming, so I'm familiar with the town and the area. We live to the west side of Warren Avenue. We're in the Madison County side to the north of us. We also have farm ground that is also west of I-80. They own that whole strip through there. Brett from I-80 called me to voice my opinion on the zone request because we don't even know him. I mean, he's across the road, hadn't heard from him. We asked him, you know what do you got? He did not ask me to support them, but wanted to voice my opinion since we're the neighbor that can see the shop that I know of. My honest opinion, they've been a really great neighbor. I've never had any complaints about them working area. When my wife and I sit in our front porch in the summer, we don't hear anything coming from the shop. We've never heard anything coming early in the morning or late at night. I have no idea how many employees they have, but I do see the trucks coming and going throughout the day, but I've never had an issue with any of that. It has never caused me to wait out in my driveway. The workers coming from the Microsoft building have caused more issues than anything. As many coming from Microsoft will speed very fast down our road. 2 semis slid in the ditch this winter. They blocked the intersection getting out of the coming highway. Sometimes I will have to wait for minutes to get on my driveway because of Microsoft traffic. I employees do seem to pay attention when driving, knowing we have Norwalk school buses stopped on our road. Owners also have a few horses and grazing out in the front of our shop, and honestly, our family really likes this. My kids still go and feed the horses, so it's nice to see that. Overall, our family has no issues with them running their business out of the area. We have never had a complaint. We have no plans of moving out of our home at any time and plan on keeping our land to the north of us, so there will be no one moving across the street from them. And this is somebody who's, again, directly across the street from us that sees everything in regards to that.
I do have a question for you. Because there was a picture shown just a moment ago with the DeCarlo large dump truck.
Yep.
Was that related to your situation or was that related to Microsoft?
It's probably a combination of some. They used to bring Taron out to us, which we've shut off. We don't have them come out. Those side dumps will run on there every now and then. Occasionally we'll get them from Kelly Cordum, which brings limestone. We've rerouted them through the north because it comes from over by Dexter anyway. But yeah, that particular day, at least some of those DeCarlo trucks were coming to our place, and I remember talking to them about slowing down. And they've asked it a few times lately to come back out, and just said that part's been shut down.
We've basically at this point just said any other vehicles that come out there, there's just no point in being out there on it, just due to the fact of we have our own trucks and that's all we need at this point. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, that's really it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
I have Matt Daniels on the phone that would like to speak.
Okay, we'll go for one more here.
Go ahead, Matt.
Well, please state your name and your address.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Can you please state your
Okay,
name and address for the record?
Yep, my name is Matt Daniels, and I live at 212 North 58th Place with my wife and our 3 young children, all under the age of 10. Our property is directly just south, a little bit southwest of the I-80 concrete plant. I've been able to tune in on Zoom, but the audio was not working, so I apologize that I had to call in like this, just in the middle of a couple family-related things, and obviously we all know the meeting's going long, so I'll try to be brief. A lot of things that I agree with what my neighbor Brent and Jill and Josh and everybody's been saying, but I just want to summarize from my point of view. I'm in a similar industry as these guys in the construction field. I serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission in the city of Cumming. So I understand what's going on, and I understand both sides of this with the Board of Supervisors and what you guys are up against, the process of what we've gone through, and I can relate to it. However, I just want to touch base before this meeting is adjourned today. We do have rules for a reason. There are ordinances, there are zoning things that we place for a reason. This operation has been operating essentially illegally. We've gone through 2 meetings that have proven this. The area that is around this is residential in nature. This is an industrial island that is surrounded by residential. We understand that things are changing and we get it. There is a Hy-Vee, there is a Microsoft, but a concrete plant, concrete crushing, however we word this is impactful in nature to the neighbors. I understand that the service is important. We don't want to see somebody fail, but there's infrastructure issues here. There's safety issues here. There's zoning ordinances for a reason. And because of these reasons and this not being compatible with these surrounding lots, I am opposed to this rezoning, and I respectfully appreciate your time today and listening to everybody. So with that, I'll jump off. But for these reasons, please do not vote for this rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Not seeing or hearing anymore, I'm going to move that we close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
A roll call.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter? Aye. Snell?
Aye. Okay. Now we have to decide what to do with this. The request is to rezone the application as submitted. What do you want to do?
Yeah, can I ask Lindsay a question? In the zoning for M1, are there any requirements at all for pavement?
No.
No.
No, that's what I was going to make that statement.
Okay.
Unlike rezonings for subdivisions, where it says paved to the nearest paved road for commercial and industrial, we do not have paving requirements.
Not even to be on a paved road
No.
or anything?
Currently, no.
Okay.
No.
All right, thank you.
No.
Yeah.
And I might add, this is a second and third reading thing too, so.
Yeah.
Right, right. I think it's going to be best to go to a second and third reading, just because of the controversy with this one. That was not made clear to me at first, Brent, that there's so much problems with the neighbors. I had no idea. I would like to see if we could add to this, and I'm going to look to Dawn and to Lindsay for this. Dawn is our assistant county attorney. That before the second and third readings, if we could have what did I put on here? A water plan, a site plan, and if what is it? Okay. If you could submit a petition to upgrade the road around, and what that entails to the, Warren County has, as the engineer put it, the least amount of skin in the game when it comes to the road. And so when you have the city of West Des Moines, you have Cumming, and you have Warren County and Madison County, all of those would have to sign off on this, as well as any adjacent homeowner to that road that is going to be improved. And if 80% or more can sign off, then it can be improved. That would be my recommendation, because I think it would check some of these issues. As far as the noise, he says he's not working at night. Okay. Well, that would be incumbent upon us to do that then. And I guess that would also be in our site plan, any night activity that you plan on having, that would weigh heavily on my decision. Those are just some of the things that I would submit, and I don't mind making that in a motion, but I'd like to talk about it first to see what you guys are thinking.
Do you have any thoughts?
Well, I have many thoughts. I think Warren County gets in this position primarily because we do not have a comprehensive land use plan that aligns with our ordinances. And when I first got here to Warren County 4 years ago, probably 80 to 90% of our meetings were taken up with these issues with zoning. And I come from a business background, and a lot of times in business, we can't just push these problems down the road. We have to address them. And I was really trying to address this problem. So in my very last meeting at Warren County, we wouldn't have to go through a 4-hour zoning discussion in public, everybody doing the right thing, everybody trying to do the right thing. This meeting is a function of your Board of Supervisors not getting their job done. So what do we do now? You guys decide. I don't want to decide.
Warren County does not have a noise ordinance, so there's nothing where we can address noise. Warren County does not have, I just checked with John, you had mentioned the water plan and the site plan. And in the zoning ordinance, we don't have anything for requirements for water, like a water plan required, or we don't have site plan review procedures in the ordinance, never have. So I understand what you're saying. I think it's important. It's not there. We're still from the 1980 to the upgrade of that, and we still aren't to the 2024 ordinance. So we don't have those requirements in there. So that's an addition that you're asking that we don't have. And I know noises come up a lot. It comes up a lot with zoning stuff, but there is no noise ordinance in Warren County. And I'm sure Joe gets a number of calls regarding noise. So there's some, I understand that's what you want to see, but we don't have anything really to enforce that in the zoning ordinance, those requirements, so.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to share some of my thoughts on this deal because I've really wrestled very hard with how we should view this. I really appreciate all of the comments that have been shared, both pro and con on this, and I understand where people are coming from. I think it's rather interesting that this business has operated here for a number of years, and it wasn't until just recently when there was some sort of request made that they, or notice that was made that they are somehow operating out of line here. So that does raise a question, okay, now that everybody's aware of this, what do we do? The area is significantly changing. Everybody acknowledges that. Whether you're a pro or con side, the area is changing dramatically. We're very fortunate in this part of Iowa to have a lot of change occurring. This is good stuff. It means that there's reason for us to continue to live here and continue to thrive here. And that includes both residentially and with businesses. The point was made earlier, for one thing, Warren County is very upside down in terms of our dependence upon residential property tax for making anything happen. 82% of all things that happen in Warren County that require property tax support, the burden immediately falls on to residences. So when you have businesses that are in fact paying, I think we have to look very carefully. How are we going to continue to help those businesses to continue to be in Warren County, to also help offset the burden that's placed on residences for services and whatever has to be done? This leads me to a conclusion here. This land is in the county. It is our responsibility to deal with it. It is not part of the city of Cumming, although it's a very close neighbor. It is not part of the city of West Des Moines, which is although a very close neighbor. Both of those have impacted what's going on in the area because of what they are. So, you've got almost equidistant away, you've got a big, I think it's one of the biggest warehouses in the state of Iowa. It's about the same distance away from this particular site as what you've got one of the larger data centers that's going on as well. And so those are pretty big activities. They're big activities. This land here in this area, it is what it is. It's located in between those two things that are already happening. The movement is happening in that direction. Compatibility is probably the bigger question. I wish the Board of Adjustment would have done what they should have done, and that was to deal with the agricultural, oh, shoot, I lost the term, what do you call it?
The special use permit.
Special use permit. I wish they would have done that, but that's not before us today. And I really, believe me, I empathize with the folks that are in the area, but yet I'm not sure that all the activity that's being attributed to the plant is really the plant's issue. And so from that standpoint, I am willing to go forward and make a motion, and we'll see if it gets seconded. I will make a motion that we rezone the application as submitted by I-80 Concrete BRM Properties to change the zoning to M1, I believe it is. Let me look at the resolution.
Yes, it's A1 now.
Yes, to change it from A1 to M1 as applied for. And with that, I would waive the second and third readings as well, so we don't have to go through this again and just put it to bed. So from that standpoint, we'll see if we get a second. That is my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
McIntyre?
No.
Peter? Aye. Snell?
Aye. Thank you. We're going to move on. Actually, we'll take a 5-minute break, and then we'll reconvene at 12:30.
Hey, Siri, call Jana.
I didn't want this. I'm really trying.
It's okay. I mean, it is.
I feel bad.
I wanted to vote yes on this until I heard all the complaints, and it was like, holy cow, you know? So,
I'm sorry.
no, you're fine.
I
You're
didn't
fine.
even want this to come before us.
I know. It's okay.
You don't know how hard I tried last week to make this go away.
Well, this isn't the one that was controversy, but
No.
I didn't,
This
we didn't know.
Thanks for making it work.
You're taking a 5-minute break. Reach out. Just wanted to reach out. Not this time.
That's your job. Just like this might not deal with all this. I get to say, so. Just like they might not deal with all of this awful abstracts.
Well, thanks.
Yes, you're welcome. Thanks for this.
We should be a little more sometimes. They're putting in the little use of what happens. We have half of it 1/4 mile. We really have. We're still here. Western half is actually, southern half is, we have half of 1/4 mile, so we you know what this is? You know what this is? We have
Supervisors meeting. We'll now proceed with item number 7, which is consideration of the Warren County becoming an associate community of the Des Moines Metropolitan Wastewater Reclamation Area, also known as the WRA, with possible action. Just as we put this before us here, this is something that we've already talked about in work sessions, and this is, we're joining with all the other folks here in basically the relationship and support for the WRA. Are there any other additional comments here for this resolution?
Well, just for the public knowledge that this is not a voting, we're not going to be a voting member.
Right.
But we're going to have the seat at the table.
Yeah, correct. And I think it's a positive move forward for us as we become part of this bigger thing called the WRA. So I'll just go ahead and move the resolution. And it's already up here. Rather than to read through the whole thing, I will move the resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter. Aye. Snell.
Aye. Item number 8, which is to consider approval of disallowed homestead 65 plus and military tax exemption credit applications with possible action. Those have already been submitted to us, and we've received them all. Any questions about that?
Have no questions?
Okay, you want to make a motion?
Shall I make a motion to approve the disallowed homestead, 65 plus, and military tax exemption credit applications?
Do we have a second? Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. Next thing is to consider item number 9, which is approval of the FY24 family farm tax credit applications with possible action. Again, the same type of activities that we had a moment ago. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the FY24 family farm tax credit applications.
Second?
Yes, and make sure that's payable. I think we need to double check here on the resolution. The resolution that we have would be for the year 2024, payable 2025 to 26. Everybody understand that?
Yep.
Okay.
I can reread that resolution the way they wrote it if you want me to.
Why don't you do that?
Okay. I'd like to make a resolution that the Warren County Board of Supervisors, upon recommendation of the Warren County Assessor's Office, a list of the family farm credit applications for the 2024, 25, 26 has been hereby approved.
Okay, that has a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. Item number 10, consider approval of Downing proposal for administration building projects with possible action. Any questions about this? Oh, Zach, thank you.
This is one of the projects that we discussed to put ARPA funds towards when we were reallocating those funds. This is 3 small projects that were to involve the recorder's space, the auditor's space, and the welcome desk in the admin building. The total proposed project is for $46,150, which I believe we had assumed it was going to be around $50. We're trying to get this so we can sign this so we can dedicate those ARPA funds before the end of the year.
Great. Any questions about this?
Nope.
Okay.
How much is that?
Their proposal is for $46,150. I'd probably put in a not to exceed $50,000.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the Downey contracts for the administration building, the small projects not to exceed $46,500.
Could we make that to do $50,000 just in case there is an unforeseen issue that's
I'll make
arising?
amendment to that motion and raise from $46,500 to $50,000.
You want a second?
Mm-hmm. Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. Good.
Thank you.
Item number 11 is termination request of memorandum of understanding between Warren County Attorney and the Warren County Auditor with possible action.
Okay.
Is there any?
I know what this is.
Do you want to speak to it?
At one point in time, the Warren County Attorney's Office and the auditor went into an agreement allowing the Warren County Attorney to be involved in the overall, operations of facilities and start a facility committee and start getting an organization within Warren County going to look at our buildings. And the auditor at the time, Tracy Vanderlinden, had agreed with Doug Eichholz to let Jamie Morowski work on that. So this 2080 agreement it was a legal contract that everybody was on the same page with and everybody understood. Now that Kim Sheets has come in and she's shown an incredible natural ability around facilities, in my opinion, and she's come in with a lot of more like capabilities than what we had originally thought. She has decided that she's ready to take facilities on, and she is ready to take facilities on. And she hired an amazing young man named Zach Snook, who is now our facilities manager. And with Kim and Zach at the helm, facilities have a bright future here in Warren County. And that's why we're doing this. We're going to eliminate that agreement.
So do you want to make the motion to terminate the agreement?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to terminate that 2080 agreement. It's an MOU between the Warren County attorney and the auditor.
Can you compare it to the document, please? This is just a memorandum of understanding, not a 2080.
Okay, thank you. It's an MOU. Yep.
Okay. Amend the motion accordingly. You want to say?
Yep, second?
Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. Now we are on to consider Warren County chiller bids and award the contract with possible action. Zach.
Howdy.
After all those accolades and raising you up, I don't know.
See if I can deliver.
Okay, yeah, be ready, because this is good stuff you're going to hear.
Yeah.
He wants to spend a lot of money.
Yes. So last week on the 10th, we had all of the bids due for the Warren County Admin Chiller project. We ended up having 6 separate companies put in for the bid. If you see right here, there's the 6 different bids that we received. The low bid was with Brockway Mechanical and Roofing for $634,722. After this bid came in, our architects called Brockway to ensure that they had a thorough bid in place, and they believe that after talking to SBPA and our engineers, that they do have a thorough bid and that this will be a solid number for them for completion. When we did approve this project, we did a not to exceed for $700,000, so this will leave us with some buffer in case there are some change orders that do arise as things happen.
Okay. Any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the awarding of the contract to Brockway Mechanical and Roofing Company?
I'll make a motion to approve the contract to Brockway Roofing Company in the amount of $634,000.
And
$634,722.
Great.
Second?
And I'm assuming that you want to add to that using ARPA funds.
Would like to utilize ARPA funds.
Okay. With that, we'll take roll call.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, now, let's see here. Up to item 13, consider accepting and awarding the quote for fuel bidding to James Oil Company LLC with possible action.
We did our annual fuel bids, opened them last week, I believe. It's pretty much the same price it's been the last few years. The overall price for this year, because fuel prices have gone down, is almost $200,000 less, but that's due to the fuel prices and not, these quotes are just based off of vendor margins. That's what we're actually bidding out, is the vendor margin. We only had one bidder this year in James Oil Company, and they came in at $731,306.20. We recommend approving this quote.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Is there any speculation why there wouldn't be any other competitors that bid on this?
This year, we only got one bid. I mean, we sent it out to 4 or 5 different companies, the ones we always send it out to. We typically get other bids, but I think at some point they realized that James has been the lowest the last few years.
Yeah.
So I can't speak on to why they didn't bid on
Right.
it this year. They have in the past, but
Okay.
it was made available to actually more vendors this year than, because we had a couple call in and request that we send it to them.
Oh, that's
and they didn't
right,
end
yeah.
up actually bidding, so.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, well, I'll make that motion to accept and award the quote for fuel bidding to James Oil Company LLC.
And that would be for the amount of $731,306.20, correct?
Yes.
Roll call.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. Okay, item number 14. Here's where the fun begins. We are now going to be looking at designating unused ARPA funds with possible action. We've got a couple of different things that are coming to our attention, and I think we need to clarify what the anticipated dollar amount is that we have in unallocated or need to be reallocated numbers. Michaela, do you have those numbers?
As far as my understanding goes, everything was allocated. The city of Carlisle won't be utilizing all the funds that were originally allocated to them with the certified site. I'm still unaware. I haven't read through all the attachments that Devin sent Friday later. If there's signed contracts, because the problem is with the deadline of 12/31/2024, counties must not only allocate the funds, but also have contractual commitments in place before the end of the year. So that's the biggest concern.
What is the amount that we have for Carlisle that's actual committed and signed contracts and/or invoices? Wasn't it 501,000?
That's what I had at.
Yeah, that's what I
I think
We
that's,
spent 500,000.
I couldn't spend the.
I think as of last
remaining
Friday, it was
100.
501,000 that we had, but they had been allocated 643.
Yep.
But in light of the issues that we have here with having to actually have contracts online before 12/31, that difference between 643 and the 501, I believe, is what needs to be reallocated.
Yep, 142.
Does that sound right?
Yes, that's my understanding.
So it'd be approximately $142,000. So we've got some issues, things before us to consider to use that money towards. And I believe, let's see here. Tim, do we have okay. Come on up, Don. Help us through this here a little bit.
So Doug had asked me to step in. He had to step out for a meeting.
Okay.
And he had given me one more invoice to present to the board. So I'm
Okay.
gonna give that to each of you.
Is that the one for
For the drone?
Let me see here.
SRT, allocation leftover ARPA funds? Assault shields, Magnum Universal Night Sights?
Figure 4, and then he just asked me to add this one to the list.
Oh, okay.
No, this isn't for that.
I'm gonna go back and see if there's anything in the text message I have.
So this would be, the one that we've just received now, looks like the bottom line total is $8,800. The county attorney's requests otherwise were $9,960 for assault shields, $17,999.99 for Magnum Universal Night Sights, and $38,549 for additional breaching tools and training items. So then we'd add to that this other $8,969. Then, in addition to that, we also have, let's see here. I think the second page, there's probably a, I'm confused here. The Indianola Police Department has asked for support for the NASPO assault.
Shield, yeah.
For $9,900 or excuse me, I think the total, they must be wanting two. So it'd be 19,800. I think that's a separate request from the county attorney's request. So there's that one for $19,920. Then we have a request from the auditor's office. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, this is for the standalone iPad systems that would work with specialized election software for use by precinct workers. And that has a total here. Looks like that one would take up everything we have. If we were to fund that, it'd be $254,000 approximately. So it looks like we have some nice options to consider here. Maybe we could consider doing, I think we can probably do, here's what I would suggest we do if we want to look at this. I'm not putting any value on this necessarily, but I'm just looking for ease. If we were to look at the county attorney's requests as one group, and then add to it the Indianola number, and then whatever's left, put it towards the voting machines. Or else we could just do it the simple way and just do it all voting machine stuff.
I kind of like that. I mean,
Okay.
that's just one, whatever additional money we haven't allocated, but you can get these are things you're buying already, Kim?
No, these are not.
Okay, so you don't have a contract in place on these?
I do have invoices prepared.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
that
Okay.
could be spent
Okay.
before the end of the year, yes.
All right.
Yes.
So I guess that would be an
And if
option.
you have any questions in regards to any of these machines, I'm happy to answer them.
But
Well, there is one more thing.
Ask.
Okay.
I don't know what to ask. I have no idea.
And that is, if we would choose to go another simple route again, we could do the order of new commercial vehicle, which would be another similar type circumstance.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure they're all laid out on the table for us to consider.
Okay.
And when we were looking at this last week to try to figure out how we were going to put this on the agenda, I told Michaela, I said, just bring it all on to the agenda, whatever they are, and we'll just discuss it here at the board table to figure out how we're going to do it. So there's
okay, thank
no
you. Okay.
pre-made decision here at all.
Okay, good.
So whatever we decide right here at the table right now is whatever we're going to do.
It's just the allocation of 100 and whatever thousand. 143,000.
Well, it's, about 142, I think is what it is.
My only requirement or request to the board is that it's something that we're planning to spend already.
Yes.
On a hard cost item.
I am right
We're
behind you.
not-
Yep.
Like, we're just switching, these monies into monies that are already going to be replacing general fund dollars. That's
Right.
what I want these
Right.
dollars to do, or I would recommend that they do. So whether that's an engineering, or the auditor's office, or the attorney's office, or the sheriff's office, or wherever, I don't care where the dollars go, just as long as they're replacing general fund dollars.
Very good.
If that's the case,
I think Kim should be the one because that's what we
were you
are
planning
gonna.
to?
I just have a few talking points.
Yeah, please get up here and share.
Now that I've been here just over a year, one of the main things we've been doing in our office is looking at cost savings. So I understand, yes, new equipment, that kind of thing, but we've looked at the numbers, and you have that in front of you, what it costs to run our current e-poll books. And e-poll books are required by the state now. So with the extra costs, we are working off Microsoft systems. We've kind of got a footprint plan over here for you. But not only is Microsoft kind of slow, we're working off old laptops. We have a few new ones, but some of them are aged out quite a bit.
Okay.
Which makes it a little bit slower. We've got the old scanning systems, which are not dependable. A lot of our poll workers opt not to even use that, which is a time restraint in the process of voting. It slows the line down, something like that. We've got the reams of paper that we have to send with these old printers, the connection problems. We've got several cords that are required for our poll workers to be able to adapt and connect along with the scanners. And you've got toner that you have to add to the printers. Toner is very expensive. That's probably the biggest cost issue of that.
When we're doing absentee voting, then you have more equipment. You've got dymo labels, you've got the dymo equipment that has to be considered. And what this does, not only does it save about $2,700, you know, because we have to make sure that we have toner available. We always have to have that on hand. We have to make sure we've got paper available. We always have to make sure we have that on hand. But it streamlines it down to the thermal paper.
Awesome.
And the thermal paper is what we can buy off Amazon, which is a fraction of the cost. If we would like to get 124 of these units, which would cover all 40 precincts, 3.1
Okay.
per precinct, and it's $174 compared to the $2,700. And granted, that's not an every time election thing, but
Still
time
adds up.
also- Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So there's a cost savings there. With the expense of equipment and things, especially electronics, they do nothing but increase in price. And as I've showed you now, there's the footprint issue. We've got our poll workers that have to carry, if they've
Right,
got three of these systems, they've got 3 printers, they've got paper, they've got the 3 laptops, they've got their baggage. This unit here, compared to all this, can carry 2. So that would also help with the storage problem that we have in this building. And as you know, we've always had a bit of a storage problem in this building. I talked to IT already. I talked to Matt about the system. He then reached out to Polk County, who has a very similar system. He was very impressed with the last election and how fast and efficient it was. It
Okay.
works on a more rocky system, and he has provided a statement to you also in regards to that. It takes a lot of man hours on their end to update Microsoft, at least 4 times a year. In regards to just keeping the software updated. This here is something that you can roll it into their room, it updates, and it's done. It's that major of a change. So, so not only is it cost efficient, our election workers, they deserve something that's more simple to run, more than all these cords. That's their biggest frustration, more than all of a sudden in the middle of something printed, they have to reload paper, or they run out of toner and they're trying to figure out how to do that when you've got a line of people. It's as simple as open it up, dropping it in, and going again. And it is for them. Allison's taken the time to call some other counties that are currently using this to find out if they had any pros or cons. Again, we've listed that for you down below. We talked to Franklin, Marion, and Story, is that correct? County. And then as for the other 2 pieces of equipment, I'm asking for a central ballot counter, which is the one that actually reads your ballot. It's a lot faster. The last election that we had, the absentee team had 3, maybe 4 of our regulars, and it still took them the full day to run ballots. This ballot counter is 3 times as fast.
Oh, wow.
And it's just as efficient, and it's just cost savings. It's a lot of time is money, but I think our poll workers would be very happy with this also. It's a lot more lightweight. It's got the bigger images, that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to point those things out specifically.
Mhm.
Is the one we use for recount? Yeah, yeah. For the central count machine, the faster
Oh,
one. Yeah.
okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you. I guess my only question for you would be the 112 left over. Do you have that in your budget, or would you?
We would have to budget for that.
Okay.
Now, I'm currently earmarking, Tracy started it, earmarking money for those scanner machines, not specifically for those machines.
Okay.
And I've been kind of working the numbers on that. I'm not sure what is being earmarked will keep up with that 5-year time period.
Okay.
Because as you know, computers and different things, they kind of time out after time. So I still need to look at that. I think we have like 140,000 currently earmarked for that.
Oh,
We
that'd
have
be
a
it.
smaller election this year, so if we had to phase it in, and do part of our machines this year and budget for more machines next year, I think we can manage that. It's just
Okay.
something that we'd have to look at the hard numbers. We just want to get as many as we can this year before prices go up, that kind
Okay.
of thing.
This
so.
would be a substantial down payment on those.
Oh, yeah. This would be great.
Yeah.
It would, but
More than
then that would take
50%.
our money for the other
Yeah.
equipment, so we got to weigh that also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. No, that's very helpful.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you. Tim, do you want to say anything, or should we?
I have a quote, but like I said,
Yeah, okay, got it.
Can I just interject too? So the ARPA funds we currently have staff on leave and they're quite spread out, but just kind of an overall. We were originally received $9,996,667. There is a note of funds left to be allocated of $73,304.22 to go to a specific department within Warren County, and I don't know if that has happened. So that with the remainder from the city of Carlisle, because they were originally allocated $643,565 and stated they would only need $504,931.04. That remainder is $138,633.86 added to the $73,000 number that I already stated. We may have a total number to allocate of $211,938.18. And it might be a question for legal because it's all federal money. If we can just make that statement for Warren County and maybe any unused funds. Because we do have all these contracts already that we could easily pay, I
Yeah.
guess is what I'm stating, but.
And I think that's, as I recall, Megan had suggested that that's how we would handle it. So I think from an ease of going forward today, why don't you restate that again, how we should look at it?
So there may be roughly $212,000 of funds that are either coming back that we're aware of or have not been spent. To date, that I'm aware of, we've spent $8,038,319.55. I haven't updated everything, but of those dollars, it's still close to $2 million that haven't been spent. But they are allocated.
With the contracts that we just approved today, a good
Yeah.
share of that.
And that includes, several that have been allocated elsewhere. But we're still waiting on certain projects to be finalized and because we have until 2026 to spend the funds. They just need to be allocated with contracts in place.
Yes.
So I'm not sure for the ease of everything, how you would like to do that, because we don't, at this point in time, it's hard to tell what may not end up being needed of those
Right.
allocations as well. If you could just do like a blanket allocation to Warren County to spend on current contracts that we have.
What's your will?
Well, I think your machines cover the overage that could possibly come in, and whatever doesn't, it still puts a big dent in that number. Yes.
How do you feel about that? I'm okay with that too. To me, that's a nice, easy way to deal with things. And it also is proactive on your part as the auditor with the elections equipment, and so I'm all for that. So let's make a motion then to the effect that of the remainder, I'll just go ahead and try to make a motion here. Of the remainder of ARPA funds that are available, left to be allocated and spent, we would use them to fund the auditor's request for, what are we calling this stuff? Is there a special name for this, like? Election equipment. Election equipment as defined up here, and you'll provide contract then accordingly. So do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay. Let's do a roll call.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter. Aye. Snell.
Aye. I think we just accomplished that. Thank you. Okay. We're almost done. Phew. Okay, number 15, receive and file reports from the Humane Society and Recorder. Somebody like to make a motion to do that?
Sure. I'll make a motion to receive and file the reports from the Humane Society and the Recorder.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter. Aye. Snell.
Aye. And here we are. We're getting really, really close here to the end. Do any of the supervisors have anything they'd like to say?
Yeah, I will.
Please, if you'd like to go ahead first.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. I've written this down because I want to be very concise with my words and not get emotional. Okay, so kind of personal at first, but I chose to have a home birth for my first child. When she was born, aside from being such a perfect baby, I remember having the feeling of how painful that was and how I never wanted to do that ever again. However, that feeling led my research to a method that taught me to relax through the pain, and I ended up having 5 more home births. I am not by nature a confrontational person. However, I do have a strong internal drive to stand up for others, and I believe that makes a good representative to serve in government. I am blessed in my testimony of our Savior and to my family to having served my country and now my county. For the last decade, I've been learning how to be truly happy in all circumstances. This board has helped me to refine that mindset. To define my journey, let me explain that if I'm upset about a certain outcome, there is my control. Where is my control over the situation if I've already spoken, asked, and pled with others to listen? We only have control over ourselves. In a recent example, several months ago, someone from the public asked me to do something when they felt the open meeting law was being violated. If I had, I would have not been able to get what I wanted done on the board. Pick your battles wisely. Besides, where does my responsibility as your representative stop and your responsibility as a citizen begin? I've learned that conflict is not contention and that peace is not surrender of truth. The value we bring by our individual strengths is enhanced by respecting those differences. Also, I've learned to love those I serve and those I serve with. What profiteth a person if they love those who are easy to love? Mark, there's an elder in our church named Dieter F. Uchtdorf. He's of German descent. He has taught that asking questions isn't a sign of weakness, but rather it's a precursor of growth. You ask great questions. Darren, you once said when you were first elected that you want our citizens to love coming to do business here at Warren County. I still love that. And I have continuously have that on my mind, whether it's teaching the public of our processes or upholding our employees. And lastly, I want to put a plug for our state organization that supports county government called Iowa State Association of Counties, ISAC, has a 2-year program for supervisors to expand their outlook through education to become a certified county supervisor. I received this recognition in 2022, and so did Mark this year, and I've been able to continue to keep up my certification. It's important to broaden our perspective and to see it from different angles and from different people. And that's my hope for Warren County, to keep moving forward with our people and their rights and liberties in mind. Thank you, Warren County, for trusting me to serve you, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for your comments. Well, this is my last board meeting. You're probably glad in some ways, others probably not so much. I would like to just thank a whole bunch of people because it's been a great honor to serve. I've enjoyed it very much. I especially want to thank my colleagues up here on the board, the other elected officials here in county government that work together with us as a team, and the staff and the citizens of Warren County for the trust that they've provided to us as a group. it's a humbling experience when you're in an elected position. And today was a good example of it with the types of issues we had to deal with. They're not easy. And you sometimes have to really dig down deep to say what is the right thing to do based upon the law and what it is we're trying to do to move Warren County forward. I do believe we have made progress as a county. Dawn, today when you were going through all the listings of the properties and all the things that we did, that was a monumental feat that we accomplished there. And I just really applaud all the partners that made that happen. That was a big deal. I'd say it was a generational type decision that we made as a body. And I'm glad that I could be a part of that and be able to help make that happen. That's just an example of many things. I think there are many other things that are yet to come. We've set and laid forth, I think, a good foundation and started to address some underlying issues that I think are going to be resolved to at least a little bit. The financial side of things was probably the biggest concern I had coming onto the board. It took us 2 years to kind of get that figured out, and I know it wasn't without a lot of pain and a lot of consternation that people went through that. But I think that we have in place a mechanism here that should hopefully allow the future board to be able to just make the regular budget decisions and hopefully not have to cut too much. I think if anything, improve on, become more efficient with what we already have. I think we've also laid down a foundation for future board to deal with additional modifications to this facility that we're in. This is a very special building. To think that we've been able to have a facility like this that we have valued as a community, and it's 100 years old, and I just applaud the board for the tough decisions that have been made and the willingness to put aside the funds to make this facility the best it can be going forward. I think that there's a lot of opportunity yet to be realized. We started to understand, but like anything, when you're making tough decisions, those don't come easy. And frankly, time wasn't in our favor. So the next board we're going to pass the baton on to the next board and let them take it from there. I cannot say enough how thankful I am for all the people that have been here and care about their fellow citizens. And so I just applaud everybody that's here, and your willingness and your dedication to keep going. And thank you again for the privilege of serving. So with that, we'll move on to item number 17, which is public input. Is there anybody here that would like to have some public input? Not seeing or hearing any, we're going to move on to item 18. The next meeting of the board is scheduled for January 7th, 2025 at 9:30 a.m. This group of folks that you see up here, 2/3 of us will not be there. And in fact, I'll be on a cruise. So another
wow.
We're good, yeah. So anyway, I'm off into the sunset, and Darren, I think you and I get to go off.
We're both going to go off into the sunset.
We get to go off into the sunset together here. Yep. So with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, yeah, make a motion to.
Second.
Okay.
Roll call.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye.